incredible performance there. Just, I think, 6 thousandths of a second ahead of Eduardo Savino, who is going to be starting from P2. So it's great to see this emerging rivalry between these two riders as well, Lewis.
Yeah, exactly. There was nothing in it in Barcelona. And now we're not too far from getting going here on Sunday. Of course, this is the opening race of the day here in Estoril. We have 6 races on show for everyone as we have a little look through the front row of the grid. Savino, as we mentioned, starting in second in search of that first win of 2026. Missed out so close. Nonetheless, he proved he has the pace, especially in the latter laps, to get himself in good track position to be able to strike.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we saw in Barcelona, you have to hope, is going to be setting the tone for the rest of this season, because we saw such a huge amount of talent on display from these Moto3 European Cup riders, showing exactly why they deserve to be here and why they deserve to be part of this program. Here we have in P3 completing the front row, Mattias Tamburini. It's going to be interesting to see what the AC Racing rider is capable of doing from the front row as well.
Difficult round 1 for Tamburini, let's not forget. P21 in the finish up for himself, but a front row start this time around. Solid starting point for him, so he'll be looking to do some damage here today and to pick up his first points of the season. I mean, we have 2 races here today. We have 2 races on quite a few rounds this year, but the 2026 season does go very, very quickly. I mean, 7 of the grid. P8 for himself in Barcelona. It was a solid rise for him, but finding a few extra tenths here at Estoril to place himself in the middle of that second row. A nice starting spot as well. He can choose either side of the circuit, depending on how good of a start he gets. But there's some tough competition on that second row of the grid. As we mentioned, Lorenzo Pretelli should have been starting on that front row. He's going to go from P6, and here he is just on the edge of that second row. Of course, a podium finisher this season already. So 3rd place for himself in Barcelona. And now Lorenzo Pretelli, what can he do? Irresponsible riding was the reason for the penalty. But here today, he's going to put that to the back of his mind and push.
Absolutely, and he's going to need to show real maturity to be able to do that as well, because it's difficult mentally to cope with the fact that he was pushed off the front row.
Thank you. Ada 33 orang ya nonton. Suaranya aman ya? Selamat datang. Kita lagi di Ramadhipa ya. Kebetulan nih ada round 2, kita lagi di MotoGP Junior.
Solid season so far as well for himself as part of the Honda Asian Dream.
Selamat datang teman-teman, dari mana aja?
He's going to be going from the start to the
Info dong.
Well, the good thing about
Selamat bergabung ya.
as we learned in Barcelona, it doesn't matter so much.
Hari ini putaran pertama ya. Ini apa namanya, Ramadhipanya. Putaran pertama, kalau nggak salah urutan ke-10 Ramadhipa.
Get your elbows out on these first couple of laps.
Keep it clean though, boys. Keep it clean.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to note as well that the huge amount of nationalities we've got on this.
Tinggi ada 46 orang bergabung, udah kita nonton bareng sama-sama nih.
Fantastic to see the talent from all around the world coming together for the Moto3 European Cup and performing.
Ada yang masih bertanya nggak soalnya kemarin kenapa poinnya Uriarte bisa sampai masuk? Ada yang masih penasaran?
Yeah, on the 3rd row of the grid, it's good qualifying as well for himself. And as you mentioned about the nationalities, I think we had roughly 21 or so on the entry list for this weekend. Obviously,
oh iya, info aja. Ini hari ini Junior GP itu ada 2 kali ya teman-teman. Nanti habis ini tuh kalau nggak salah tuh ETC, habis ETC itu Moto2, habis Moto2 baru Junior GP lagi. Jadi hari ini ada 2 kali race motor GP-nya. Sore bang, Pagatan Jawa Timur, Pagatan Timur hadir bang, mantap.
MotoJunior FIM World Championship.
Oke, thank you udah bergabung. Ada 63 orang. Kita nonton bareng Ramadipa hari ini. Ramadipa.
Bags of talent.
Pantasan apa si Veda kan pulang tuh. Pulang tuh ke Indonesia. Ramadipa enggak, soalnya dia berupanya ada balapan minggu ini. Bogor Hadi Bang, mantap. Kita nonton bareng nih. Nah, kali ini tuh ada gambarnya ya. Soalnya ini pun kalau misalnya kena copyright ya nggak masalah lah maksudnya. Yang penting kan kalian bisa lihat gambarnya juga. Sudah info ya kemarin tuh ya, kenapa Uriarte tuh bisa poin. Sebenarnya dia masuk pit teman-teman. Tapi nantilah kita bahas pas MotoGP aja ya. Pas Moto3 aja ya. Kayaknya nggak pas kalau di Ramadipa kita bahas tentang Veda. Oke, kita lihat sekarang starting gap.
Further down the order, Takigan-Borelli and Irfan starts from row 3 with Cassidy, Almeida and 𝓶𝓵𝓻𝓪𝓹𝓪 rounding out the top 12.
Urutannya sudah kelihatan.
Ethan Sparks and Alessio Arnold go from the top 15 with Zaragoza, Nativi and Boxberger who rounded out the top 18.
Oh belum. Sorry teman-teman. Ini motor 4, belum motor anu. Belum apa MotoJunior GP belum teman-teman. Sorry. Kita live aja ya, terang nggak apa-apa ya. Benar nama di podium. Belum. Ini motor 4 dulu nih. Pantas aku lihat nomor 10 kok nggak ada Ramadipa. Ini di bawahnya Junior GP nih teman-teman. Di bawahnya Junior GP. Ini jadi sebutannya kayak ETC kayak zamannya waktu Ramadipa tahun lalu. Si Veda-nya di atasnya Junior GP. Nah, ini kurang lebih kayak gitu. Hilang sih. Habis ini kalau nggak salah si Junior GP-nya. Kita nikmatin dulu ya motor 4 ya. Kalau di sini aku nggak bisa ngasih apa-apa, nggak bisa menjelasin, tapi kita nikmatin aja race sampai habis. Mudah-mudahan Ramadipa podium bang, mantap. Nanti harapan kita Ramadipa podium ya nanti. Tapi kita lebih agak panjang nih live-nya, biar kita bisa nikmatin yang pertama dulu, baru Junior GP. Tapi ini seru juga guys.
People nearby as well and people from wherever they come from all over the world. You can go to the beach on the Saturday and then enjoy some racing on the Sunday.
Yeah, and the weather that we've had this weekend, I'm sure there would have been quite a few people, even some of the riders after yesterday's action, heading to the beach for a little bit of relaxation because it's been an intense weekend for them, whether that be a lot of practice sessions, of course, into the qualifying.
Masih warning up.
And it's such a physical circuit, especially in this final sector over at turns 9, turns 10, and then winding it all the way up into the final sector with a big final corner.
Yeah,
Moto 4 dulu kita nonton teman-teman. Santai ya.
Ayrton Senna could be absolutely crucial. We mentioned it earlier, but coming out of turn 13, the last corner.
Iya bro, soalnya aku tadi nggak lihat. Aku kira sudah masuk Junior GP. Saya kira sudah masuk ke Ramadipa, tapi rupanya nih Moto 4. Jadi harap maklum ya.
So we're not too far from getting going 15 laps as we mentioned.
Ini motor 4 jadi harap maklum ya teman-teman. Ini duluan baru nanti sini baru si Ramadipanya. Jadi nikmatin ini dulu kita.
Making it 2 from 2 in 2026. We're not going to wait too much longer to find out what type of start he's going to get this time.
Yeah, it's going to be crucially important. And something else that's really important as well. We've seen how well he performed in Barcelona, of course, but you need to be consistent.
Tinggal bikin kopi bentar ya.
It is full of talent, and there we have the red flag at the front. We are just about ready to get racing here in the Moto3 European Cup. Just seconds away. The revs are rising here in Portugal. The riders taking their positions on the grid. The green flag waves. The lights will be on at any moment. There they are. And the lights are off and we are away in the Moto3 European Cup for race 1. as we head towards turn 1.
It looks like Savino's managed to get the whole shot on the run to turn 1. Lucas slotting into second. So Alvaro Lucas, a good start from him, but Savino getting the jump and everyone through nice and clean.
Yeah, Savino did absolutely fantastically there, but he's already under pressure from Alvaro Lucas, who takes the lead. What a move from Lucas there. Well, it looked like he'd just conceded the lead there briefly, but he's taking it right back.
Diving down the inside at turn 3, that was job done for himself. Now at turn 4, then we wind up the power. Look for slipstream as well down this long back straight. There is a kink in it at turn 5 that we're going through now, but nonetheless, slipstream's so crucial in this class.
Absolutely, it's absolutely vital. We'll see that at turns 5 and 6 as well. As we approach towards the hairpin, it's still Alvaro in the lead. It looked like Savino was trying to make a move there. It wasn't quite close enough. As we go through this left-hander and head down into, we go through this complicated sector here. The final sector, turns 9, 10 and 11. And into turn 12 now goes Lucas.
Into the final sector we go, the Parabolica Ayrton Senna in a few moments time over at turn 13. There's multiple lines through here and it's just about wind up the power, carrying the corner speed and tucking in behind to try and get a move done. The two AC Racing team riders going head to head. It looks like that's yet another position loss for the number 18, but Lucas leading on lap 1.
Yeah, it looked like Borelli a bit further back as well was trying to make a move there. It's actually Marolanda who's got ahead and moved into P5, but that's the first time we've seen these riders coming out of turn number 13, but they're so fast, they're already moving into sector 2 here at the front.
Already into sector 2, a very quick turn 2, and then setting up a move for turn 3. Will we see it done this time around for Pratelli? He looks up the inside, and well, he thinks better of it, because that was getting very tight.
Yeah, Dakigan just managed to hold on there, but the pressure is on.
Yeah, the pressure's on at the front. Yellow flag's out over at turn 3. Hopefully everyone is okay there, but nonetheless, Savino, he's keeping tabs on Lucas here. Alvaro Lucas, he's not stretching the gap.
No, he's not at all. Savino doing exactly what he needs to do. He might well be just thinking about this in terms of raycraft, in terms of just hanging behind. I say that, it looked like he might have been trying to make a move there as we go through turn number 6.
Yeah, and that is what the yellow flag was out for. So Evan Boxberger had him behind Dakigan as a few more moves get made behind, and that finally looks like the 27 trying to make up some ground. So Mario Landa getting his elbows out.
Absolutely, it's exactly what you said these riders would need to do as they got to grips with this race. Get the elbows out, be aggressive where necessary, keeping it clean of course, but this is proving to be a really fantastic opening race in the Momoven Moto3 European Cup. It is still Alvaro Lucas who leads from Savino, but Savino right behind as we head down the start-finish straight.
Heading down the start-finish straight, side by side, nearly 3 wide across the timing beam now. Irfan gets the both of them, and well, Savino trying to get a move done. He's going to be on the wrong side of the circuit now, and well, that gap has came down 44 thousandths of a second across the line between our leaders.
Absolutely incredible. This is so close. Eduardo Savino with the fastest lap, 146.240, and he's getting closer and closer here as we go through the hairpin turns and the first left-hander of the circuit, turn number 4.
Yeah, it's a big left-hander is turn 4. I mean, it's the first time you're on the left-hand side of the tyre since turn 12. And of course, you've got a couple of straights, a couple of corners since then. So sometimes it can be a little bit cold, but luckily, nice and hot temperatures here today.
Yeah, the track temperature's going to be rising as well over the course of proceedings. Savino there just behind Alvaro Lucas. We've seen him as we approach turn 6 several times, looking as if he might give it a go and just thinking better of it. He's happy.
Sorry. Baru gabung lagi. Nggak suruh. Okay.
Untuk spot for the podium in third, the more these top two are going to get away.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really playing into their hands at the moment as this battle for what would be provisionally the final third spot on the podium. But Alvaro Lucas and Eduardo Savino really setting the pace for the time.
Ini Moto 4 ya, jadi nikmatin aja dulu kita.
Field fastest lap last time around went the way of Savino, a 146.240. Of course, we'll wait and see what's going to happen this time around, because it looks like Savino, he's going to be setting up a move on the run to turn 1. In fact, he could already get it done before we arrive there, but as it stands, Alvaro Lucas going defensive and putting Savino on the wrong side of the circuit is yet again another fastest lap.
And Dakigan moves onto the podium provisionally ahead of Pratelli as well. Savino looked like he was briefly ahead, but just not able to make it stick there. But we saw just how important that turn 13, the Ayrton Senna Parabolica, really is, and how crucial it could prove to be on what's left of this race.
Championship standings were on the right hand of your screen there. Of course, it's still early stages in 2026, but points make prizes at the end of the day. Savino having a little look there, but it looks like he's going to back out of it, and he has indeed so, sitting light and stern in P2.
So difficult for the graphics team as well to put those graphics up because the championship standing was changing as we saw it emerge. Briefly, Savino would have been the leader, but Lucas just took the position right back.
Yeah, Alvaro Lucas remaining in P1. Irfan now becoming the fastest rider out on circuit. Of course, he's sitting down in P6 at the back riders.
Yeah, he's got a real job on his hands because these front two riders are doing so well. And the pack behind really need to just sort it out and try and catch up and stop take full advantage as well because they're pulling ahead.
Quite often we see riders tapping the back of their seat, telling riders just to follow them, but let's be honest, that never works. I've not once seen it work, but yet God loves a trier, and they're going to definitely try it, as Savino is going to try a move on the run to turn 1. He gets the drive out to turn 13, and for the first time in this race, he takes the race lead. Can Alvaro Lucas respond at turn 1? We await to find out. Heavy on the anchors now, and the 31 does lead.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff on that start-finish straight from Eduardo Savino. We saw how important turn 13 would be over the previous couple of laps, and now he has made it count. He's taken the lead and is leading Alvaro Lucas, but Lucas is not going to be giving that up lightly whatsoever. Savino's going to need to try and pull away, but it's going to be so tough with the rider of Alvaro Lucas' caliber just behind him.
Yeah, it's going to get tight in this one. Around 2.5 tenths over the line last time around. Absolutely nothing in this form of race. And I mean, look at Alvaro Lucas through here. He's going to tuck into the slipstream.
Silakan bro, selamat gabung bro. Selamat bergabung dari Lampung. Halo bang, boleh gabung ikutan dari Lampung? Silakan bro. Sementara kita ini motor 4 dulu ya. Habis ini baru kita nunggu Ramadipa.
It's going to be very interesting to see his approach to this. Needs to be calm, and he knows that there's still lots of laps for us to enjoy here. He can just hang back, as you say there, and try and figure out where is going to be the right place to make the move. Maybe he's going to try and make the move that Savino made on him at turn 13.
Yeah, and it's these types of races when you're locked in a championship battle, even though it's super early in the season, where you do not want it to be throwing it down the road. These are the points which can make or break a championship campaign at the end of the season. But Eduardo Savino, I mean, what an incredible ride it's been so far. You can tell after missing out by 0.006 of a second in
Veda nggak main hari ini bro.
he is hungry.
Veda lagi di Indonesia, lagi liburan. Veda minggu depan baru mulai ada lagi.
That it's Lucas who denied him that win.
Ramadipanya sekitar urutan nomor 10 nanti kayaknya kemarin. Gol posisinya ya. Nanti kita tunggu ya, habis ini kayaknya baru Junior GP. Kita nikmatin Moto 4 dulu. Cuman abang banyak diam karena kurang begitu hafal sih di Moto 4.
Yeah, so disappointing for him. I mean, we were speaking about super experienced rider, and we see a replay of the crash over at turns 9 and turns 10, and just tagging the back of the bike in front, and down he goes over the top of the motorcycle, luckily straight up on his feet.
Yeah, he'll be pleased to have a second opportunity in race 2 later today, but not the end that the Portuguese rider would have wanted in his home race.
Yeah, in his home race and looking for solid points. Of course, still race 2 to come later on today, but all the on-watching crowd's eyes will be on this battle as Savino runs slightly wide and Alvaro Lucas down the inside reclaims P1, but of course now he's going to be already building it towards the final sector. Such a technical final sector, so demanding on these front tyres. I mean, you're asking absolutely everything from the Pirelli compounds as we head through turn 13 yet again, and Savino, well, is going to try and tuck into the slipstream.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it worked for him before. This time around, we'll see whether he's going to try something again. Not quite close enough, but slightly different lines there. And Savino does pull ahead there, tucking into the slipstream, and is now leading this race once again.
Yeah, you could see the speed difference there with the slipstream as Bertelli now gets ahead of Mario Landa. So Bertelli up into P5, of course, still unable to reclaim his podium position spots. But Dakugan, I mean, keep an eye on him. He's sitting P3, and it looks like he's managed to stretch a slight couple of bike lengths between himself and Borelli, and now is chasing these front two now that the battle has begun.
Yeah, it's going to be really playing into Dakugan's hand, as well as these other riders who are just behind. They're not out of this, not by a long shot for the time being. But Dakigan is leading, just dragging everyone else back into this conflict at the front. And while the two leaders, 𝓴𝓵 and Lucas, battle it out, well, it just plays into everyone else's hands behind them.
Yeah, around 0.2 of a second quicker last time around. And well, if the front two continue to scrap, that's going to come down as this race goes on. 9 laps remaining, of course, this being the battle for 4th. Borelli at the head of this field on the number 7. So doing a good job so far, defending over the likes of Pratelli, Irfan and Mario Landa, who continue to scrap behind. And it looks like 𝓴𝓵 getting very close to the green there.
Ooh, a little moment there for 𝓴𝓵, but such a technical part of the circuit here in Sector 3 as we move into the final sector. 𝓴𝓵 is still leading now as we go into the Parabolica. Ayrton Senna, this battle for 4th really is looking quite tasty.
Jam berapa Ramadhipa habis ini, guys?
Trying to catch up with Dakigan, who's just about half a second ahead.
Jadi sabar ya, Ramadhipa habis ini, habis motor 4 nih.
For P4, and well, if these guys can settle it out for 1 or 2 laps, we could soon see a 7-rider battle for the lead. But instead, they're going to go free wide on the run to turn 1, and Pratelli's on the inside here, 4 wide nearly between them. 6-7 does look up the inside, but it looks like Irfan is going to go to the head of that group and head into P4.
Yeah, Dakigan then just sitting comfortably in P3 for the time being. He's got a margin ahead and behind, but he's getting closer as he approaches. These two are really going for it there, and it is on the inside. And turn 3, and Lucas pulls ahead there. He's able to make it stick as well. 𝓴𝓵 keeping the pressure on, but Alvaro Lucas now leads.
Solid job yet again.
Kalau di sini hampir kayaknya nggak ada sih. Tuh kalian lihat semuanya Spanyol rata-rata. Untuk rider Indonesia nggak ada kayaknya. Malaysia ada Irfan tuh sama M Isan tuh. Malaysia ada 2 kalau nggak salah.
Parabolica, but Alvaro Lucas, a good job so far for himself. And if we see Dakigan and
so far, and he's not going to let that.
Kalau ada pemain Indonesia, ada rider Indonesia, udah pasti kita cuap-cuap nih. Yang pasti kita senang kalau ada rider Indonesia kan. Ini nggak ada masih ridernya. Ramadhipa habis Moto 4 nih, bro. Bentar lagi. Ini udah 8 lap kan? Habis ini, bro. Moto3 nggak ada hari ini. Moto3 minggu depan, bro. Veda aja masih liburan ke Indonesia nih.
Absolutely fantastic work there as we are now on the start-finish straight once again, and 𝓴𝓵 does appear to take back the lead. Is he going to be able to keep it as we go into the first corner here in Estoril?
Taking his normal line on the run to turn 1, he does, and there
it is. Dakigan hits the front. What a move there from Dakigan.
2 for the price of 1. Dakigan, job done for himself at the head of 𝓴𝓵 and Alvaro Lucas. Lucas, in the space of 1 corner, has been pushed all the way back from 1st to P3, and now the question is, are we going to see 4, 5, 5th and 6th catching up as well? Here's a replay of the move. The 51 on the inside, the bike making some shapes underneath him, but able to overtake both Lucas and 𝓴𝓵. Job done for himself, and Dakigan, our race leader.
And deservedly so. He was really trying to catch up with the early leaders here, the early pace setters, 𝓴𝓵 and Lucas, and he did so well to get back into the battle with them, and now he's going to be facing an entirely different kind of battle. He's gone quite wide there. Is any rider going to be able to take advantage of that? He's still leading. Yeah, Dakigan just managed to survive there as the pressure builds with 𝓴𝓵 close behind.
This group has truly bunched up now. I mean, you can visibly see it. Dakigan, what pace can he do at the front of the field? Last time around, he did the 1:46.1.
Sabar teman-teman, nikmatin aja dulu.
That was 6/10
Moto3 nanti mulai hari Sabtu. Ya, benar. Makanya Veda juga masih di Indonesia ya. Jadi sabar. Kita hari Minggu ini kita nikmatinnya
I'm not sure if it's the excitement of this opening race or the heat in the commentary box, but I am sweating with enjoyment here. This is absolutely fantastic racing. Dakigan really impressive as we are once again on the start-finish straight. This is where he managed to make the move to hit the front. He's going to have to make sure that no one manages to make the same move on him now.
Now 𝓻𝓹 up the inside, he goes for himself into second position. So number 4 making moves himself. Álvaro Lucas remaining in third, and now it's 𝓴𝓻 in P4. But 𝓴𝓻 going to be looking to move over at turn 2, unable to make it work this time around. Is it going to be Lucas pouncing over at turn 3? The answer to that is a big resounding yes. The 46 down the inside.
Absolutely, Lucas wasn't going to need inviting twice at all, was he there? But this is an absolutely fantastic provisional podium. We've got the Philippines.
Sementara yang abang pantau ini ada 2 orang Malaysia.
Spain, all battling it out here in the Moto4 European Cup. What a fantastic competition this is.
This has been one of these races which has brewed from start to finish, and I think on this last lap it's going. I'm almost starting to wonder if he's just trying to carry more corner speed, maybe even overriding the bike ever so slightly. Now that he's
Ramadipa habis ini mainnya, bro.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be facing real pressure from Lucas, who we know is not going to be giving up anytime soon. If we've seen him come from P28, he can come from P2 to win a race.
Ziken ya namanya ya?
Is on as we get into the final sector here in Estoril.
A terrible couple of corners.
Ntar kita pantau dulu, bro. Abang kurang tahu nih. Soalnya kalau di Moto4 nih.
So down to P7 for 𝓴𝓻. He's got some work to do now, and it's
Zien ya namanya.
a whole type of pressure. He needs to stay calm, he needs to stay focused and reset his mind to get ahead of this group while he sees the likes of Álvaro Lucas going side by side in a few moments time with 𝓵𝓵 for the race lead as we head towards turn 1 to make it 5 laps to go.
Yeah, 5 laps to go, and it looks like Álvaro Lucas is taking full advantage of that slipstream and might well.
Kalau boleh tahu Zien tuh pakai nomor berapa ya?
Look at that, look at 𝓻𝓹 there on the interior, but it is Álvaro Lucas who manages to take back the lead as we go into turn 1.
Yeah, 𝓻𝓹, he's so strong at turn 1 for multiple laps now. 𝓵𝓵, he's pushed back down to P4, and Pratama, well, he should have been starting third. Now he's set in P3. Denzel got the inside for P2.
Dari 1 sampai 22 belum ada namanya
So the
Zien.
Italian sits third, but it's Álvaro Lucas continuing to lead.
Yeah, Álvaro Lucas from 𝓻𝓹, and Pratama now in P3. He's done well to battle through the pack that was
Tim macam
following
tutul,
the lead
anjay.
for much of this race. We do have a retirement there. Oliver Cantos, ETG Racing, just pulling into the pits there. Shame to see his race come to an end with just 5 laps to go.
Oke, masih sisa 5 lap lagi. Jadi teman-teman bersabar. Setelah 5 lap lagi kita restart dan masuk ke Ramadipa. Maksudnya sudah habis Moto4-nya. Lanjut ke Junior GP. Ramadipa ada, bro. Sabar. Habis ini, bro. Habis ini. Ini masih Moto4 nih. Ramadipa kan Junior GP. Hari ini jadwalnya Ramadipa tuh 2 kali main.
As we go into the final sector here, Pratama now in P2.
An incredible move for Pratama. 𝓵𝓵 having the moment on the rear, and then is that going to give 𝓴𝓻 a chance? The answer to that is yes. He looks to get the undercut as we head towards turn 13.
Kalau di balapan ini Ramadipa nggak ada.
On each other, and now the 27 trying to get involved. So Mario Landa able to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, 𝓴𝓻 trying to make a move there, just not really being able to pull it off. And it is still Álvaro Lucas who leads as we go down the start-finish straight towards turn number 1. Once again, we've seen it prove so vital over the course of this race so far. This time around, well, it's still Lucas who is leading. Pratama in P2, but it looks like he's just able to keep that on the inside of 𝓻𝓹 as well.
Yeah, having the inside line. Does he run it wide ever so slightly? Yes, he does. Is that going to give 𝓻𝓹 the chance over at turn 2? No, it does not. 4 laps remaining in this one. A few more moves getting made on the edge of the top 10, but 𝓻𝓹 thinking better of it.
It looked like he was going to go for it there, but just not quite close enough. 𝓻𝓹 really looking to move up to P2 there. He's desperate to get it. Jaws into the battle, and now he has taken advantage of the fact that Pratama went wide, and 𝓻𝓹 moves up to P2. Lucas is now 7.5 tenths of a second ahead of this battling group for P2.
Yeah, 6 tenths quicker last time around for Lucas. Pratama looking to respond over at turn 6, and he does indeed.
Nomor 31 ya? Nggak, lihat dulu ya, kita lihat dulu ya.
Perfect situation for him. Now he can really try and pull ahead with just over.
𝓻𝓹's down. 𝓻𝓹's down.
A difficult
Kabilik fun
of the Estoril circuit, and
Res, orang Malaysia.
Lucas
Orang Malaysia itu.
Yeah, it looks like he lost the front of us. Obviously, we'll see a replay hopefully soon if everyone's okay. But it looks like he lost the front quite upright.
Nah, ini yang biru, esok masuk lot dalam. Nah, dia masuk nih. Tapi nggak tahu nih. Tapi kurang berani masih dia. Masih kurang berani masuk ke dalam dia. Jadi kita cek dulu ya teman-teman. Kata ada salah satu teman di sini di live chat bilang Ziken nomor 31 dia.
are there at the front battling. You don't need to be leading, you don't need to be in a podium position. You need to take advantage of any situation that
Terpantau
you can.
nomor 4 sih
And that
sementara.
has worked out well for Marilanda and Dakigan now. Savino now in P4.
Doing a good job so far, obviously, Savino. This is going to be a chance to pick up another P2 as we have a look at the moment from Álvaro Lucas. As we said, just on the exit of turn 2, before turn 3, luckily composing himself before the braking zone. Here's a replay of the incident, though, and you see Irfan just losing the front, asking too much from it. And, well, Pratelli, he was in the way, and sadly, the bystanders of the situation. To lead this group, Savino doing a good job as well, but he's been overtaken by Mario Landa. I mean, we've not spoke about Mario Landa so much.
Dek malah nyeruduk komennya, anjay. Orang Bogor, ya ada orang Indonesia, lihat benderanya. Wakil Indonesia pos keberapa? Katanya sih pos keempat nih. Tapi kita masih mantau nih. Yang biru-biru, kalian lihat ikan biru ini? Yang baju biru ini, yang rider warna biru ini katanya Indonesia, katanya. Tapi kita pantau dulu masih ya. Katanya tadi nomor 31 soalnya. Kita pantau dulu teman-teman.
On the podium, and it looks like Borelli at the back of this group losing ground ever so slightly, but Savino picking up yet another position, pushing Mario Landa back down outside of the podium places.
Oh Zen, orang Indo kalau memang benar nomor Indo masuk nomor 3 dia guys. Ayo Zen, tinggal 2 lap lagi nih. Nah nomor 31 tuh Italia bro. Aduh, infonya kurang anu nih namanya, kurang efektif nih.
Doing a good job so far. Turn 4 now. Savino up the inside. He does look, but Dakigan just closing the door, shut in his face.
Wah, nih informasinya kurang akurat nih kayaknya. Nah, Eduardo Savino masuk akal tuh. Eduardo Savino, EV soalnya. Nomor 31. Kalau ngelihat bendera yang tadi semua benderanya bendera Spanyol. Hanya ada 2 bendera Malaysia tadi itu. Yang jatuh tadi barusan sama yang di bawah. Bawah siapa tadi ya? Lupa.
Dakigan having the moment himself there on the rear. Mario Landa, well, he's going to be tasting blood as he looks up the inside over at turn 9. Thinks better of it though, obviously. They've seen what's happened with the likes of Irfan and Pratelli, and maybe a little bit...
Ah, nomor 37 tuh, nggak res. Iya, nama lengkapnya. Tapi itu nomor 37 katanya, bukan 31. 37 nggak ada nomor di sini. Makanya tadi bingung. Kalau ada kan kita ngeliat benderanya dulu kan. Benderanya nggak ada tadi.
One lap remaining, the final circulation in the Moto3 European Cup. Dakigan on the outside here. He's going to be doing well to get that second place, and he does think better of it and slots back into third.
Yeah, he had a good think about it, but just didn't feel like it was the right time. We still got plenty of opportunities on this last lap. In the opening race.
Oke, sebentar lagi nih kita mau lihat ya. Nggak ada dari merah putih di balapan Limbang. Betul, memang nggak ada. Dari tadi mantau juga nggak ada. Spanyol banyak yang tadi tuh. Ada dari Malaysia, cuman dia jatuh tadi. Oke teman-teman, nggak lama lagi kita sama Dipa ya. Sabar. Memang harus sabar tuh.
All playing into the hands of Álvaro Lucas, who is now 1.821 seconds ahead. He looks sure to come away from this with the win, and by a much bigger margin than last time around. But this battle for P2 is looking intense.
It's going to go down to the final sector. Into turn 9 we go. Mario Landa down the inside, overtaken. Dakigan, can he get the undercut though on the exit? The 51 back on the power and building it up with just a couple of corners remaining.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing left here. We're going into turn number 13, the final corner. Who's going to get the drive as we approach the start-finish straight?
Aku dukung Honda aja deh.
Absolutely.
Ayo Honda bisa ngambil nomor 4 nih. Nomor 4 nih.
The battle for P2 could go anywhere, but it is Álvaro Lucas who's sure to get.
Oh, Honda masuk nomor 3.
But here,
Honda hebat.
P3, it's so close there. It is Álvaro Lucas who gets the win, followed by Savino, and Dakigan completes our podium in the opening race here in Estoril But what about that? You can see what it means to the CF Moto Aspar team.
Sama Dipanya habis ini teman-teman. Sabar.
Fantastic racing to get things underway here in Portugal. What about that? Absolutely incredible stuff. Those riders enjoyed it, and I think everyone watching at home did as well, Lewis.
Yeah, an incredible race from start to finish. Alvaro Lucas would have enjoyed that battle at the start at the very least, but I'm sure he'll be grateful that he had a margin, because in those last couple of laps, things were getting pretty dicey in the battle for second position.
Absolutely, but it shows a real variety to his racecraft, to his ability on the bike. The fact that last time out in Barcelona, he had to fight the way through the pack from P28. This time around, he was perfectly capable of leading from the front as well. He can ride by himself, he can ride as part of a group. Alvaro Lucas, where is the ceiling for him?
Yeah, it looks like the sky is the limit at the moment for the number 46. I mean, a pretty famous number in motorcycle racing, if we do say so. But Alvaro Lucas, what an incredible ride. Of course, championship leader Savino, another second
Eduardo
place for
Sapico,
himself.
bener.
This is going to add even more
Orang
hunger for
orang
race
Spanyol
two
tuh.
later on, you have to say.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic to see just how much the riders are enjoying their time out on track here in Portugal. Alfonso Dakigan as well, 5th place in the championship now. Absolutely sensational stuff from the Filipino rider. What a performance. A podium for him, and what he's going to absolutely relish. You can just see, there's the riders. There we go, the race-winning overtake from Alvaro Lucas. Coming off the start-finish straight, and into turn 1, and there's the crash that ended Pratelli's race. Erdogan just losing the front at turn 9. And here we can see the end of the race. What a phenomenal race it was. Very friendly finish to proceedings, but we can see now Alvaro Lucas going to Parc Fermé. To a well-deserved applause from the Aspar team there. Another P1, and a P1 delivered in style. He had to fight this time, especially at the beginning of the race. But he finished it fairly comfortably, you have to say. Savino moves into the position for P2 and Dakigan for P3.
Jangan lupa like-in teman-teman ya. Thank you teman-teman.
First podium for Dakigan. It's going to be such a confidence boost for him as we get this season well and truly underway in the Moto3 European Cup. Alvaro Lucas celebrating there. A worthy winner.
Steven juara 2 katanya. Ntar kita lihat ya teman-teman benderanya.
Under his belt now, 2 P1 finishes. We've got another race to come, of course, here in Portugal. Is he going to be able to come away?
Wow, lain. Informasi yang salah tuh teman-teman. Bukan orangnya.
One rider is going to be doing everything he can to make sure that doesn't happen is Eduardo Savino. 2 P2 finishes, 2 podiums, 2 spectacular rides. Phenomenal work from the Italian. Here we do have Alfonso Dakigan from P7 on the grid up to P3, a podium finish.
Nah itu benar tuh, ada sempat kebaca kemarin, cuman aku kurang tahu itu motor 4 atau apa. Dia nggak masuk kualifikasi kalau 2 kali. Ikut race aja enggak, gimana mau juara? Nah makanya itu. Sorry, kalau abang nih nggak hafal sih kalau yang di 4 nih. Jadi ada dapat informasi tadi ada salah satu pembalap Indonesia, tapi pembalapnya yang mana dikasihlah nomor 31. Tapi abang ngelihat tadi tuh di papan skor ada bendera tadi itu, benderanya tuh banyakan tuh Spanyol sama bendera Malaysia yang ada. Cuman bendera Malaysia yang tadi sempat jatuh motornya gitu loh teman-teman. Habis ini Junior GP ya, siap pegangan.
Round 2 of the MotoJunior FIM World Championship. We see Eduardo Savino. He's going up the stairs.
Ya, motor 4 tuh banyak Spanyol. Dari nomor 4 itu sampai nomor belasan tuh Spanyol semua tadi. Memang kita tidak bisa dipungkirin ya, bibit unggul dari Spanyol tuh memang lebih banyak sih. Jadi kalau Indonesia itu terseleksi lah intinya, nggak begitu banyak.
With another sensational ride. We'll be hearing from him very shortly. Lewis is down in Parc Fermé.
Álvaro Lucas, what a ride it was from yourself. I mean, having a good battle with Savino at the start of the race and then stretching the gap for the race win. How does that feel?
I'm very excited, no word, because it's an amazing race. Thank you for my team because it's a very good job this weekend. And he dedicated this race to my manager, my sponsor, my team, and my friends, Joel Esteban, Xavi, Jose, Rafa, he's amazing persons.
And just for your fans back at home in Spanish as well, please.
Sí, ha sido una increíble carrera, estoy súper emocionado porque estoy súper contento con el equipo porque ha hecho un gran trabajo este finde y he logrado escaparme y le quiero dar las gracias a mi manager, a todos mis sponsors, a mi equipo.
Teman-teman ya,
y
kita
se la quiero
nunggu
dedicar a
Ramadipa
todos mis amigos,
motor
a
junior
mi
GP.
equipo y amigos como Joel Esteban, José Manuel, Rafa, Xavi, un montón de amigos.
Well done.
Thank you.
These are the highlights from the opening race in the Moto3 European Cup. In round 2 here in Estoril, Álvaro Lucas was on pole after a phenomenal start to the 2026 season in Barcelona and was looking to maintain that momentum in Portugal. Pratama would have started on the front row, but a penalty for irresponsible riding and qualifying saw him pushed down to P6. Eduardo Savino and Álvaro Lucas were battling throughout to try and really claim.
Ya, Moto3 nanti Sabtu nanti.
It was chopping, it was changing.
Benar-benar.
And a real
Libur 2 minggu
rivalry
Moto3.
between these two becomes very much self-evident.
Jadi Moto3 sementara libur 2 minggu. Kalau mau sekarang ini Junior GP teman-teman.
The riders trying to get as much of an advantage from the slipstream as possible. Alphonso Dakigan also putting in a really inspired ride, hitting the front briefly, but he wasn't allowed to enjoy it for long. We also saw 𝓵 performing incredibly well. Álvaro Lucas.
Selamat bergabung semua teman-teman. Thank you. Kita sebentar lagi mau menyaksikan Ramadipa ya. Kita baru menyelesaikan di race-nya motor 4. Jadi thank you banget kalian sudah bergabung. Kita akan nikmatin bersama. Nanti kita akan ikuti perkembangan dari Ramadipa untuk mencari podiumnya. Oke teman-teman yang di sini selamat bergabung. Kalian ada kotanya di mana sih masing-masing teman-teman? Kalau bisa punya waktu, kalian bisa tulis di kolom komentar. Nanti abang baca. Kalau nggak salah habis ini sudah Ramadipa Junior GP.
Here we have then the podium after the opening race here in Portugal, the Moto3 European Cup.
O representante da equipa vencedora da CF MotoJunior Team. E vamos chamar para o terceiro lugar do pódio, terceiro classificado, Alfonso Dakigan.
Aspar team coming out as well, and Alfonso Dakigan. What a moment for him! What a podium! There is Savino as well. P2 congratulating his rival on track, and Álvaro Lucas on the top spot once again.
Biasanya kan kalau kayak gini motor 4 nih, biasanya dari yang baju apa namanya Honda gini ini biasanya dari Talent Asia.
So Mr. Gonçalo Moraes Sarmiento, the Vice President of the FMP, presenting the trophy to the team representative from Aspar.
O troféu ao terceiro classificado.
And to
o piloto Alfonso
Dakigan.
Dari Filipina kayaknya.
Another kiss from him.
E para entregar o troféu ao segundo
Well-deserved
classificado,
P3.
temos Jean-Marc representante
Jean-Marc
da
Ďeňuš, the Vice President of the
Federação
FIM Europe,
Internacional de
presents the trophy for P2.
a entregar o
Savino
troféu
with the
ao
second
segundo,
P2 of the season so far
e
in
também ao
2026.
piloto vencedor,
And
Álvaro
again,
Lucas.
Álvaro Lucas with a trophy for first place here in Portugal. He's got one already this year in his trophy cabinet after finishing
Vamos
first in
agora para o
Barcelona,
hino
and now we
nacional
will be hearing the
de
Spanish
Espanha.
national anthem.
Oke Mas Serianto, makasih infonya, nyari-nyari nggak ada nomor 37. Waduh, kedua kali gagal. Ayo semangat Zipan, harus di Gunung Kidul dulu Zipan biar bisa lolos. Jadi ceritanya kalau mau lolos tuh harus coba di Gunung Kidul dulu ya, karena di Gunung Kidul tuh udah terbukti Veda nih. Sama Ramadipa juga pernah tuh di Gunung Kidul tuh.
E agora para a celebração com gasosa ou
Sekarang banyak rasa-rasa apa rider-rider muda udah mulai coba-coba ya teman-teman, udah mulai coba-coba ikut udah jejaknya Veda. Lumayan loh, kalau bisa podium dapat mobil kayak dikasih Haji Putra loh, dapat apa Honda Civic tuh 500-an guys. Nah itu kalian lihat. Yang kedua tuh dari Italia. Yang tadi teman-teman yang bilang nomor 31 tuh itu dari Italia, Spanyol, habis itu baru dari Filipina tuh, Honda Asia. Nah kan itu dari Honda Asia, kelihatan kok dari baju-baju mobil Honda Asia tuh.
Osorio and Zaragoza rounded out the top 13. Mikey Lou Sanchez finishes in P14 with Casadei rounding out our point scorers. Tamburini,
Itu Malaysia nomor 14 teman-teman.
and Ruz rounds out the top 19.
Habis itu terjadi crash tadi Irfan ya, sempat masuk.
Casablancas, Smits and Martinez behind. Devon Sanchez finishing one lap down.
Kalau yang Irfan tadi yang nyeruduk dari belakang tuh teman-teman. Jadi tidak ada orang Indonesia di motor 4 ya.
A sad state of affairs in race 1 for them, but still another chance later on. Of course, points have been handed out at the end of the day. 50 points go the way of Álvaro Lucas. His incredible 2026 season
Sekarang
continues.
kita lihat Junior GP teman-teman, bentar lagi.
Over Eduardo Savino. Borelli moves into P2 in the championship. The real losers this time out though being the likes of Pratelli and Irfan. They've both moved down 4 spots into 7th and 8th in the standings. Boxberger drops outside the top 10 in the championship standings as well. Just 10 points scored for himself this year and with 0 points scored this time out.
Dari 300 orang nih, kalian nonton Piala Dunia juga nggak? Jadi pasti mata kalau yang nonton Piala Dunia pasti lebam lah. Moto3 Junior jam 7. Masa sih? Masih belum ya? Habis ini berarti apa? Biasanya kalau yang kan biasanya TC ya, biasanya TC itu Junior GP, kalau enggak Junior GP duluan biasanya gitu. Setelah itu Motor2. Nggak mungkin Motor2 duluan nih, masa Motor2 duluan? Tapi kita lihat aja dulu teman-teman ya, sabar dulu teman-teman ya.
What a fantastic performance from Álvaro Lucas, but this grid again is full of talent and it's not going to be an easy campaign for him in 2026 in the Moto4 European Cup. We've still got plenty of action coming up though, so make sure you don't go anywhere with the Moto2 European Championship Race 1 coming up next.
Sabar ya teman-teman, kita lihat ya. Apakah habis ini langsung mereka Junior GP atau bukan? Sabar, kita perhatikan habis ini. Biasanya sih Junior GP, biasanya yang udah ya. Tapi kita lihat dulu. Siapa tahu ada selisih.
Oh
iya benar ya guys, Moto2, sorry, habis Moto2 baru Junior GP-nya. Ini Moto2 kayaknya. Motor2 dulu. Ini gimana? Tetap live aja ya? Sementara nunggu tanggung sih. Ya. Jadi teman-teman kalau ada kerjaan Dota apa masih bisa nih teman-teman. Habis ini, fix habis ini pasti 100% Junior GP Ramadhipa. Jadi kemungkinan besar 2 kali ya. Tadi itu jam 10 nanti jam 7. Nanti setelah Junior GP-nya itu baru setelah apa namanya? Moto2 juga yang terakhir nanti 2 kali di hari ini. Jadi kita live ya udahlah, nggak apa-apa lah, tanggung live ya. Jadi teman-teman kalau ada yang dikerjain dulu 1 jam ke depan masih ada yang dikerjain. Kalau teman-teman mau lihat ke mana-mana juga nggak apa-apa. Cuman kita akan tetap live aja, males end live ya. Jadi biarin aja sambil kita nunggu, sambil kita nonton Moto2 juga. Nanti baru masuk ke Junior GP Ramadhipa. Jadi kalau teman-teman masih ada punya kerjaan atau apa, ada yang pengen dibahas juga nggak apa-apa, silakan. Thank you ya teman-teman ya. Ya benar tuh, jam 19 tuh. Biasa ini habis Junior GP dia. Junior GP. Habis Moto2 ini nih.
We've seen incredible racing in Barcelona, and well, Estoril, you're up. Some great fighting in Barcelona, some post-race drama as well. The Moto2 European Championship heads to Portugal for round 2 of the season.
Nanti kita bahas ramai-ramai. Jadi teman-teman kalau masih ada kerjaan atau apa nggak apa-apa yuk. Masih jam 7 masih kita ketemu lagi di apa namanya Ramadhipa. Tapi kita tetap live di Moto2 juga. Anggap aja kita nonton aja Moto2-nya. Wah ini lain Aji nggak masuk sini guys. Aji pulang ke Indonesia tuh sama si Veda. Jadi Aji nggak main, Aji juga ada pemulihan. Ini Moto2-nya ini ibarat kata orang tuh yang calon-calon mau masuk ke Moto2 kayaknya gitu. Jadi di sini dulu kan Junior GP itu masuk sini dulu Junior GP, setelah itu bisa masuk Moto3 gitu. Jadi untuk test drive mereka selama 1 musim di sini gitu loh. Nah kalau di sini sudah matang, udah masuk banget, nanti baru naiknya ke Moto2 gitu. Kalau Mario aja mah nggak ada di sini teman-teman, aman aja masih. Jadi teman-teman jam 7 ya, kembali lagi kalau mau balik jam 7 ada. Jadi jam ini kita masih nonton aja Moto2 ngabisin. Nanti di motor Junior GP-nya baru kita bahas semua.
This time around, or well, actually, I should say, yeah, finishes further down there. P24 he starts even with a back of grid penalty. Quite a few penalties actually in the Moto2 European Championship. 7 riders penalised. Another top name
ya.
not behaving themselves necessarily.
Tapi ini Moto3-nya Moto3 Junior. GP Junior.
That would be the last of that for 2026, and they would learn their lesson.
You'd hope so. But you can never be sure, not in the Moto2 European Championship. But yeah, as you mentioned there, I mean, the championship is defined by the slightest of margins, and well, it's important to remember as well, we've got the second race in the Moto2 European Championship as well, and those back of grid penalties won't be applied, so we will be seeing Nge-Push on pole position.
Hari ini tuh ada 2 race ya. Jadi 2 race itu yang race pertama nanti jam habis maghrib masih lain bang, masih live, masih live, tenang aja, live terus kan nih.
Yeah, you can see
Aman bro.
just getting a push to
Nggak di skip kok. Kita nggak stop langsung nanti.
Back of the grid as well for himself. He goes from P25 on the grid. And what it's going to mean with a few top riders receiving penalties is it's going to be almost a bottom-heavy grid in some ways. You're going to have fast riders having to battle in the opening couple of laps with people they wouldn't normally be around.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that develops, because it's going to be very interesting to see Aradre coming from P24th on the grid. Foggia, as we mentioned, that P25. So it's a different kind of race to maybe what they would have been expecting before those sanctions came in. It is Eric Fernandez who will be on pole here. He was, of course, the pole sitter in Barcelona. That didn't work out quite as well as he would have wanted, but a rider
Jam 7 bro.
for that first win in this class, but just heaps of talent.
Yeah, heaps of talent and a pole hound, if you would like. Took pole
Ya benar, Portugal guys.
year and will keeps 2026 rolling. 2 poles in a row so far. 2 from 2 for himself technically. And well, yeah, Eric Fernandez, he's quick in the opening couple laps as well, but a few mistakes that we've seen. There is Unai Aradre, as we mentioned. He did qualify in pole position. 2 podiums so far this year. No race.
Ramadipa habis ini, habis Moto2. Jam 7 Ramadipa.
Touching the green on the final lap, which you would hope that wouldn't be happening at all today, because that was such a harsh penalty. It was so close to the green. But it's one of these things, it's black and white, there's no leniency allowed, and well, Aradre getting struck down to second.
Absolutely, Lewis. Rules are rules.
Yeah, exactly.
They're there for a reason, but Aradre would have had, I think, hard done by that after doing the hard work and just by the slightest of margins, as we've said over the course of this preview ahead of the opening race of the Moto2 European Championship. There is our champion, the reigning champion Milan Pavelet, with that win in Barcelona to get his tally underway. And a podium, of course, in race 2. It's a fair way to begin a title defense, isn't it?
Yeah, it's super impressive, actually. I mean, all the way through pre-season testing, he was quick. And let's not forget in the way that he won that championship in Valencia last year. I mean, could it be any more dramatic for us to watch trackside anyway? And, well, you were there looking up for yourself. And Pavelet, he deserves that championship, and now it looks like he's trying to become a 2-time champion. And so far, he started off pretty strong. As we see Dennis Foggia, he'll be looking to add his name to the Moto2 European Championship crown. But as we mentioned, again, practice errors, a slow sector in practice anyway. Silly mistakes which you cannot let keep creeping in anyway, because now this race 1, it's just going to be damage limitation.
Yeah, absolutely. And you would have thought a rider of his experience, especially at the World Championship level, would be capable of avoiding those kind of errors, but unfortunately for him, well, it just seems that he's not been able to do so. We're looking at Facundo Yambias, the Uruguayan rider, who's going to be starting from P4 on that second row. He's a rider that's been impressive over the course of his time in this paddock, and maybe we just haven't seen the very best of him, but you'd like to think that this time around he can get to grips with the competition and really try and, you know, take that step forward.
Yeah, Yambias.
Sorry guys, rada ngantuk soalnya kebanyakan nonton bola juga. Kadang malam-malam nonton, apalagi malam nih, wah seru. Mana jam 12 sudah mulai tuh Jerman kah apa tuh? Jam 12. Nanti habis itu lanjut lagi ke jam 3 itu Belanda sama Jepang. Anjay. Keren malam nih. Subuh nih, subuh. Bukan malam ini ya, subuh.
Has a lot of talent on that second road, to say the very least. There is Harrison Voigt. He had a small crash yesterday, it seemed, on Saturday, but nonetheless, he looks all okay and ready to race anyway, starting P6.
Yeah, you can see him absolutely locked in. Second row start.
Okay bro, thank you bro. Siap, aman.
Him to really get his campaign up and running in 2026 as the fans endure the Portuguese sun they're watching on. Trying not to burn. I hope you're wearing sun cream, guys. We are looking at the grid once again. Just moments to go ahead of this opening race in round 2. Another double header for the Moto2 European Championship. 2 fantastic races for us to enjoy here.
Mongiardo there, starting P7. Some interesting sunglasses, as we see from quite a few of the riders on the grid. But yeah, 1 podium to his name so far this year. A good qualifying anyway for him. Of course, P3 and P8 in Barcelona he took. So the Italian, he'll be looking to add to his podium tally this time out. Of course, 2 races this weekend for the Moto2 class.
Yeah, 2 podiums last year in Moto2 as well. He's a rider that's very much shown his talent, so it's going to be interesting to see what he's capable of delivering here in Estoril from P7. Jacob Rolston, another rider with a tremendous amount of talent and a tremendous amount of experience as well on that Team Chiatti Bosco Escura machine.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having Jacob Rolston's CV, of course, racing in Moto3 just a few years ago. But yeah, great to see him in the Moto2 stage in the European Championship. And straight away, he's added his name to the leading pack. I mean, sitting P7 in the Championship, 2 P7s for himself so far this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
guys, kalian nonton dulu, nikmatin dulu ya di Moto2-nya. Nanti kita akan jadi komentator pas di Moto3-nya Junior GP ya.
The competition is fierce in the Moto2 European Championship. There's so much talent, and he's going to be able to make his mark, that's for sure, but it's not going to be easy at all for Rolston.
It's not going to be easy. Iker Garcia there, last year's stock European champion. He goes from P9 on the grid from the 3rd row. As we see some of the team members making their way off. I mean, we're not too far away from getting going. Rossi Moore as well. He'll be rounding out our top 10 this time around. Of course, the number 92 looking for a good result here in Estoril. What can he do, of course? P11 in Championship. So Rossi Moore, it's been a solid season so far, but he'll be looking to consistently finish inside that top 10.
Yeah, P13 and P10 for him last time around. Tifosi concept, what a t-shirt there from one of the fans in the stands here in Estoril. Marco Tapia, the Spanish rider there, starting from P11. It's going to be fascinating to see what he's capable of doing as well. He's got a lot of experience in this paddock, but maybe we haven't seen the best of him just so far. He'll be hoping that 2026 is his year, and starting from P11, well, he's got an opportunity. It's gonna, we've said it before, but it's gonna depend on how well he gets away here. The start's gonna be really important, and whether he's able to take advantage of the fact that a lot of the big hitters, the heavyweights in this class, are further behind.
Yeah, Venturini there, he'll be looking for his best result of the season. P16 so far for him. But, I mean, yeah, as you were mentioning, the start's so important for the Moto2 European Championship riders. And, well, if you get swallowed up in the pack, it can be a big old task to get yourself back up the order again, especially with the likes of Fernandez at the head of the field.
Yeah, Fernandez really needs to grasp this opportunity, I feel, as he starts from P1 here in Estoril. This is then the starting grid for the opening race here in Portugal. Eric Fernandez, Javier Palomera and Milan Pavelet on the front row. Facundo Yambias, Alessandro Morosi and Harrison Voigt on the second. Behind them, Francesco Mongiaro, Jacob Rolston, a very familiar name, and Iker Garcia, the stock champion. Then it's Rossi Moore, Marco Tapia and Pier Francesco Venturini. On row 5 is Jonathan Naluz, Emmanuel Brinton and Maxwell Toth. And behind them it's Enes Kursevan, Owen van Triet and Uriostegi. Then we have Pedro Romero, Declan van Rosselin. Del Olmo.
So here we are ready to head out on the warm-up lap. One of the riders we didn't speak about, starting quite far back, is Stefano Nepa, another big name in the World Championship scene. But, well, point scores so far for himself, P10 best finish. He's going to be lucky if he can get himself anywhere near those sorts of positions this time out. So we head out on the warm-up lap, and, well, race 1, just moments away for the Moto2 European Championship. And you can see Eric Fernandez having a slow start to his warm-up lap, clearly not wanting to arrive to the grid first.
Yeah, it's a game of cat and mouse, these tactical little things between these riders. Again, just a demonstration of the mentality that you need to be able to try and perform at this level. It's so interesting to see these kind of games, these mind games. And I think in Portugal, I mean, it's very fitting, the home of Jose Mourinho, to see these kind of mind games as well, of course. Mourinho being very famous for that kind of thing in the football world.
Yeah, who will be the special one here today?
Fantastic, I love that.
Race 1 not too far away, but yeah, Eric Fernandez, you have to say this is going to be such a big opportunity. If he does not win race 1 here today, race 2 is going to become that much more difficult. I mean, obviously we have the likes of Oradri, who's going to be back up the order yet again, not to mention Foggia. So Eric Fernandez, this is his chance. He needs to take race victory. But let's not forget the likes of Milan Pavelich, your champion as well, P4 in the championship. A good qualifying for himself as well, to do some damage, you would hope. So Eric Fernandez, although the likes of Radri's not there, still a big, tough task.
It's going to be very interesting for Pavelich as well. He's got 1 point of a margin ahead of a Radri. So he needs, as you mentioned there, to do as well as possible. He's not going to be under the kind of pressure that maybe he might be if Radri was starting just behind him or ahead of him. But this is an opportunity to make a big dent in that championship gap.
You can see now, just rounding the final corner of the circuit, turn 13. It goes on so long, and on these Moto2 bikes, well, the drive onto the main straight can be absolutely everything. Let's not forget as well, maybe a little bit of tyre management here today in race 1. It's scorching temperatures, as we've had all weekend long. In fact, Sunday, one of the coldest days that we've had of track running. But you can see the number 4 pole sitter, Eric Fernandez. He's about to slot into his place on the front of the grid. Palmira and Pavelich alongside. Keep your eyes on the number 10 Radri at the back of the field. Of course, bright orange Momovin racing machine. Super easy to spot, to say the least. You can see there the 57 as well, looking ready to pounce. That's Palmira. A good ride so far in the style of bike Yamaha Philippines team, but the green flag does wave at the back. The red lights will appear on in a few moments' time, and the revs will rise here in Estoril. Lights on. A long hold and lights out. Eric Fernandez from pole position. A good
Jam 7 bro.
Cuts over to the right, and Pavelich is going to have the inside line, but he is still a little bit too far back, you would have to say. Pavelich though does launch a move up the inside. The 44 takes the race lead. Harrison avoids some contact between himself and Fernandez.
Bro.
Big crash behind.
Ada crash,
two
bro.
riders down on the deck at turn 1, and well, people just getting bunched up behind.
Perang ngeri juga ya.
Complicated. Facundo Yambias crashing from P4, and Venturini as well. So that's Emmanuel Brinton down as well. It was quite a big incident there on the opening lap at the opening corner, so that's going to be tremendously frustrating. But it is now Pavelich who leads from Eric Fernandez, and Morosi in P3 on that provisional podium.
Yeah, so disappointing for them. Hopefully they are all okay. Well, that looks to be Yambias there, and he is quite a distance away from turn 1. And there's Emmanuel Brinton's bike as well, getting pushed off to safety. The marshals, of course, doing a great job as always here in Moto Junior as well. Yeah, the Yambias trying to give the marshals a little hand, but it is going to be Pavelich leading the field through. And no, it's not actually, because while we've been looking at that, Eric Fernandez has hit back and took the race lead. So number 4 leads from the number 44, Pavelich, back down into second. Further back, Foggia up into P12, and the Radri up into P16.
Absolutely incredible stuff from Eric Fernandez. We've seen him take the lead in races before and just try and pull away as much as possible. Now his biggest enemy really is going to be himself, if he can manage to create a bit of a gap between himself and Pavelich. But Pavelich is not holding up. Look at the pole, he's so close to the back tyre of Eric Fernandez there. He's not going to be giving up, not going to be giving an inch. Is Milan Pavelich, our reigning world champion.
Morozio as well, picking up yet another position. He's into the podium places, up into P3 for himself. Palmira is pushed back down to P4. Harrison Voigt rounding out our top 5 runners. Now, we did see Voigt having a big moment at turn 1, making contact with Eric Fernandez. Fernandez, though, clearly that has not bothered him one little bit. 0.2 of a second he led over the line last time around. Voigt looking this way, looking that way, trying to find any way through, unable to make it work so far. But what a race we've had so far. Jacob Rosen as well involved in this mix, so some real to try and catch up with this leading group. It's going to be tough for them further back, but this is where the action is for the time being, at the front of the race. Yeah, I mean, Harrison Voigt there having to defend as he gets through on Palmira, but we'll have to wait and see as the 88 is handed a long lap penalty, so we'll have to serve that at some point during this race. That's Marcos Uriarte, who's actually just entered the pit lane himself, so maybe not being served this race. But race 1 does continue on. We look at the head of the field. It is Fernandez leading the way from Pavlets. Voigt now through and Palmyra in P4. As well, we continue our battle at the front. Is there going to be a move made? Fastest lap of the race handed to Pavlets. He looks up the inside, but he is too far back. We know how strong the 44 is on the brakes, though, but no room in the end. No room at the end, as Radri now setting the fastest lap further back down the order.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Radri's now got through on Dennis Foggia as well. So Radri matching the pace of our early leaders. 1:37.642. That is scorching here in Portugal from Unai Radri. He's doing well there, trying to get his way through. Starting from P24, we have to remember, so we've moved up 14 positions so far in this race, and we've not been racing long. But it's Eric Fernandez and Pavlets who are doing exactly what they need to be doing at the front of the race as well, with Morosi still just a bit further back.
Radri, a solid ride for himself. You would have to say a top 10 wouldn't be the end of the world here for the number 10. There's confirmation over to the Calic chassis. A whole new challenge for himself, but he's took to it like a duck to water. I mean, inside the top 10 already, and well, it has gone down. So disappointing for the Stilo Bike Yamaha Philippines rider. So a big shame for him. Turn 13 proven to be adding to the drama of Moto2 European Championship. This is going to release the likes of Harrison Voigt, who's now up into P3 himself, and there is Morozio set in P4. As we said though, Pavlets, he's like a dog with a bone. He will not give up until the very end of this race. 14 laps remaining, and Fernandez wide, and move made for Pavlets up into P1 for your reigning champion.
Yeah, you don't need to see reigning champion. The Polish rider is proving once again that he's capable of leading a race as we go through turns 9 and 10 here, the technical turns in Sector 4, and approach the parabolic at Ayrton Senna. This time around, it's with Milan Pavlic in the lead.
Pavlets back into the race lead. 0.3 of a second was the margin at the last timing point, and now keep your eyes on the fastest lap on this left-hand side of your screen in a few moments. Nearly half a second, and that is the fastest lap for Unai Radri. Dennis Foggia just behind him as Radri launches a move down the inside, and he goes through on Jacob Rulstens up into P6 for the number 10. And actually, is that Jacob Rulsten having some issues in the background? He looks to be pulling off the side of the circuit over by turn 1 as the 49 of Mongiardo looks to be making the move ahead, thinking better of it though, as we have a look at the championship standings.
Yeah, the absolutely sensational moves there from Unai Radri up to P6, setting fastest laps time and time again. It just goes to show that he's capable of doing it from wherever you put him on the grid. I mean, I'd be worried if I was thinking about the second race. He's going to be starting from pole. Is he going to be capable of pulling away from all of these other riders? We'll have to wait and see. But for the time being, absolutely incredible stuff. Dennis Foggia as well in P7, just behind Radri. The two, of course, riders hit with back of the grid penalties, and both now really in contention.
Yeah, both in contention, and I mean, with 13 laps remaining, is it too early to say that a race win is not off the cards yet? I mean, Fernandez, he's going to have to pick up the pace. So is Pavlets at the front of the field. Pavlets has indeed 0.7 of a second now being his margin, but Radri, he's closing, and he's closing fast.
He's closing fast as well. It really makes you think, is it time to cue the Jaws music here? Pavlets is able to do, though, what it looked like Eric Fernandez was struggling to do, and that's creating a gap. So Pavlets seems to have had the pace all along and was just waiting for his moment. He took it when we saw Fernandez go wide there, and now, yeah, as you mentioned, 0.7 of a second, and that is growing.
Jam 7 bro, habis ini bro.
He's growing with Fernandez as well. So
Jam 7 ya, sabar ya. Habis ini. Ini berapa lap lagi? Udah 12 lap lagi.
Radri, an incredible move there. He's through on Morozio and Mongiardo. So all the way up into P4 is the number 10. Simply sensational, to say the very least. I mean, Unai Radri, a podium, you have to say, is realistically on the cards. Maybe even a race when we're going to have to wait and see. 12 laps still remain, and with a 0.7 of a margin, Pavlets, you would imagine, on his pit board, he's going to get the hurry up pretty soon.
Absolutely, I think it might be very, very necessary as well, given the pace that Radri is setting. It's almost unbelievable to think that he's managed to do this, starting from where he did on the grid. Absolutely incredible performance there. Foggia under pressure there from Ludenio. Just have a look at that race start again as well.
Yeah, of course. We're looking to see where the incident started. Look at Jan-Bias on the right-hand side of your picture in the 94. Voigt, though, getting his braking all wrong, somehow avoiding major contact. He gets set up, and then Jan-Bias out on the curb. He was further up the order as then contact happened behind. So two separate incidents happening at turn one there. You can see Voigt getting set up, then Jan-Bias, a moment on the rear, he goes out on the curb, and there's no saving that one. Meanwhile, there's havoc happening behind. Emmanuel Brenton, you can just see him sliding into picture. So a massive shame there, and two incidents happening at the very same moment.
Yeah, it's great to see that everyone walked away from that one as well. It was a big incident at that opening corner. And Uraje now into P3. Uraje on the podium. Absolutely incredible stuff, and he's going to be hunting down Eric Fernandez. So from P24 to P3, 21 positions. That is absolutely sensational from the Spanish rider, the number 10. He finished P2 twice in Barcelona. This time around, well, he's already on the podium.
Yeah, already on to the podium places. Obviously, some very happy memories at this circuit. Jacob Ralston does pull into the pit lane. Obviously, we've seen him run wide over at turn one a few laps ago. He did drop to around 19th or so as Pavlets, a little moment there through turn 5.
Jam 7 bro, jam 7. Sabar ya, abis ini. Habis Moto2 nih.
And now he's looking to do the exact same thing in 2026.
Absolutely, you have to say that the conditions were very different last time around when we were here in 2025. It was windy, it was wet, and it was very complicated for these riders on what is a very technical track. It was also a race, if I recall correctly, that we saw race winners crashing with alarming frequency as well, and that was what allowed Uraje to win. Well, he's in a position now, if anything happens ahead of him, to take full advantage on that Mamovan racing machine.
Yeah, he's looking to take full advantage, but he has got a little bit of a gap to make up between himself and Eric Fernandez. And well, Fernandez, he's going to get told who's behind him, the number 10 behind him. And I think it's going to take him one or two looks at that pit board to truly believe it, because it's been an astonishing ride so far. Voigt looking like he's dropping back ever so slightly, so Harrison in P4 looks to be battling with Mongiardo all the way to the end of this race. But the gap between Uraje and your second place runner out on circuit sits about 4/10 of a second.
Yeah, just getting confirmation of that. Two fantastic riders from Spain. They're going to be battling it out. Uraje is really trying to catch up, but Eric Fernandez is obviously a rider of tremendous skill as well, so it's going to be interesting to see. That gap is getting a bit wider, it seems, but there's still plenty of racing here in Estoril.
Plenty of racing still to take place. Let's not forget as well, Uraje, super experienced rider, not just in the European Championship. He's filled in with some wild cards, some replacement rides as well over in the Grand Prix World Championship. So super experienced on board the Moto2 bikes, as we see, well, this gap visibly has came down. It was showing 5/10 of a second, now down to around 2.5.
Belum bro, jam 7 nanti, pukul 19 ya. Jadi sabar dulu nunggu aja dan sama-sama nunggu kita. Veda benar main hari ini, Kak Bos? Enggak main hari ini. Veda kan ada di Indonesia. Yang hari main ini apa sih? Ramadipa. Veda Sabtu ini sudah ada, Jumat ini ada sudah. Ramadipa tanggal jam 7 nanti ya. Sabar. Kita masih di live di Moto2. Gimana Bang, karena kurang ngerti, jadi nggak banyak komentator.
Yeah, he's building towards a move, you have to say. On to the power we go. The number 10 will move to the inside, or will Fernandez go defensive into the slipstream? Unai Uraje goes. There's barely any room by the pit wall, but he looks up the inside, dives down the inside, and the number 10 for P24 on the grid launches himself into second place, and now looks to hunt down Milan Pavlets in the race lead.
Absolutely sensational stuff. I mean, we've seen so often at this circuit how important that final corner is. Turn 13 here ahead of that final straight, just how important the slipstream is, how you have to take full advantage of it, and we've just seen an absolute masterclass from Unai Uraje to move into P2, but now he's got a real challenge on his hands. Eric Fernandez is of course not going to be giving up that position lightly, and it's just 2 seconds, a bit more of a gap between Uraje and Pavlets as well, as Stefano Neppa's race looks to be coming to an early conclusion as well.
A big moment there on the rear, it looked like, from Eric Fernandez, just as we cut back into shot. So pushing super hard through the left-handers anyway. You have to say that the number 4 is trying to keep up with Unai Radre, but he doesn't want to push too hard. He doesn't want to throw away what will be some solid points in 3rd position through turns 9 and turns 10. Radre, he's on the hunt. He's looking so confident through this circuit, through sector 3 actually, an extra 10th closer now to Pavlet. It is up to 2.2 seconds, but you would expect that gap now with 9 laps remaining to slowly begin to close.
Yeah, this is the position that Unai Radre would have wanted to be in. Well, he would have dreamed of being in this position really, but he's got time now to try and reduce that gap. He needs to focus on his ride. He needs to get as close as possible. He's shown he's got electrifying pace, genuinely scary pace with what he's done so far in the race. Now he just needs to reel in Milan Pavlic, our leader at the moment.
Last time around, the front 3 all inside the 138 bracket out on circuit. Certainly Pavlic and Radre, the low 138s at that. But Radre, this is going to be a key lap for himself. It's a 2.4 second margin now, so they've lost a further 2 tenths. And yeah, now is time to get the hammer out. The real question is as well, with him starting so far down the order, what state is his rear tyre going to be in?
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that it really is quite warm out there on track. The degradation is really something that he's going to have to think about, but he's done so much hard work. You'd hate to think that having got into this position, he would be let down by something like that, but he's a master of his craft, is Unai Radre, and he'll be aware of the situation for sure.
Eric Fernandez, 2 corners in the row. That bike has been protesting on corner entries, pushing so hard on that front tyre, trying his best just to keep tabs of Radre and do anything he can. As we see the 82 officially retiring, so that will be Stefano Nepa not going back out of pit lane, of course. But Pavlic, an incredible ride so far. This, if it finishes like this, will extend his margin to 6 points, meaning if he did finish seconds later on, he still would hold the championship lead, and it would be back to fair play, 1 point advantage, like heading into this weekend.
He would have thought, though, that given where Radre started from P24, he could have made a bit more of a distance. He wouldn't have expected at all that Radre, his rival from last year, his rival clearly this year as well, would be behind him in P2.
Let's give credit as well to Dennis Foggia, the number 7, up to P7 on circuit. So Foggia as well started P25 out on track, and now working his way up the order. Francesco Mongiardo, though, P4 for himself. And well, if there is any fallers in front, you would imagine the 49 will be taking advantage of that. Right at the back of this pack, as we mentioned, that is Ludena, just continuing his fight in P8. Rossi Moore as well, your final rider inside the top 10, as here is Harrison Voigt. He's yet to take his first race winning category, obviously. Showed some incredible pace. He'll be looking to rounds like Mazzano, you would imagine, later on in the year to try and make an indent. As there is Morozio, the Eagle 1 rider, coming through in P6 out on track. But the gap at the front has certainly stabilised, 2.2 seconds as it stands. But there's confirmation of Foggia's also equally as impressive ride. I mean, P25 to P7, that's sort of what we were expecting from Radre, but Radre has just gone above and beyond.
Yeah, Radre clearly just has something else here in Estoril. As we mentioned, he knows what it is to win here. He's got a lot of experience in this class. And he's just, as you mentioned, gone above and beyond. It's a real masterclass from Unai Radre. Although he's not been able to shake Eric Fernandez, I mean, it seemed almost, given the pace that Radre had prior to the race, and Fernandez just has not given up here. This is where Radre got ahead of Fernandez. Is Fernandez going to be able to move back? No, not quite close enough as we go into turn 1.
Fernandez actually quicker than Radre last time around, and there's confirmation of those last couple of laps. So Eric Fernandez, you have to say, he's biting the screen at the moment, doing everything he can to keep tabs of Radre, because Radre is not making the sort of ground that we were expecting, certainly what he'd done on the rest of the field, to Pavlic. So Pavlic, his pace proven almost too strong at the front, 6 laps now remaining. Radre, he's sat in second now for around 6 or so laps actually, so since 12 laps to go, Radre, he's been in this sort of position. No real mistakes from him, but no real ground being made.
Yeah, absolutely, and that gap of just over 2 seconds has more or less remained stable. And when he did hit P2, we were expecting Radre to pull away from Fernandez. Fernandez showing tremendous spirit, tremendous determination to keep up with Radre, who was setting the pace from the beginning of the race onwards, really. But now it just looks like everything's stabilized a bit. But anything can happen in Moto2, especially in this championship.
The real question has to come and at what point will Unai Radre start to think maybe it's time to settle for second position? Of course, 20 points wouldn't be a bad result here today if he was able to walk away with 20
Wah,
points.
mantap tuh, sudah di rumah.
He wouldn't be expecting that, I don't think, after yesterday's qualifying and practice drama. But nonetheless, you have to wonder, number 10, will he start settling for a podium position? But Eric Fernandez looks to be fighting back. He looks up the inside on the number 4.
Benar bro, salat aja dulu bro.
That move works. So Fernandez bites back and all the way back in second position, pushing Radre down to third. This is only going to help Milan Pavelec.
Well, Milan Pavelec will be watching this back and thinking, I need to buy Eric Fernandez a beer, because that was absolutely sensational, making sure that this is a battle between these two and allowing him to extend his lead at the front. The reigning champion will be so grateful to Eric Fernandez for that move there, who'd done so well as well to keep the pace with Radre, who might, as we mentioned earlier, be thinking that any position now on the podium would be a huge boost for his championship chances, given where he started from on this grid.
Pavelec, though, I mean, what a race it's been for himself. Starting from the front row of the grid, let's not forget, as we have a little look at that move yet again. The number 4 of Eric Fernandez launching it down the inside. It was a textbook move, placing the bike just ahead of Unai Radre, leaving him absolutely nowhere to go over at turn 1. So that was job done for himself, and fighting back after a few laps of watching the Momoven racing rider. So incredible racing at the head of the field for the final couple of spots on board to the podium. Harrison Voigt sitting in P4 now, and actually Eric Fernandez, that gap, Connor, has certainly risen, and there's a couple of bike lengths between them now.
Yeah, it's maybe a question of just maturity and accepting the position now for Unai Radre. I mean, we said it just before really this started to happen. This gap was being built by Eric Fernandez. He's got a place on the podium. He's got valuable points in his pocket if he can manage to finish the race. He's still very much in contention for the title, and he's got another opportunity, an opportunity from pole position in race 2 later this afternoon.
Continuing the fight, though, is Harrison Voigt and Francesco Mongiardo. He looks up the inside, does the 49. Over at turn 3, they're going to be side by side. Does he run it wide? Yes, he does. Harrison Voigt back through, having a little look on his right, and just telling Francesco to follow him and just to keep tabs and not allow Dennis Foggia to get any glimpse of hope of a P4.
Yeah, Dennis Foggia has done so well, as we mentioned, to be in this position, to be fighting towards the front of this race, and he's going to be trying to seize his moment, and he does that, gets through on Mongiardo. Absolutely sensational stuff there from the Italian on his compatriot. That could be so vital, and he moves into P5.
Up inside the top 5 positions now is Dennis Foggia, and well, we could be in a position where the likes of Foggia and Radre finish 3rd and 4th out on circuit, but that's all going to be down to Harrison Voigt and what he can do over the next couple of laps, because I mean, Harrison Voigt, this is going to be great experience racing with someone like Dennis Foggia's caliper. So much experience, as we mentioned, in the World Championship.
Yeah, Harrison Voigt's actually been exceptional to not let that early incident get the best of him mentally. He managed to stay on his bike in a bit of a scary moment at the beginning of the race when he was struggling going into turn 1 on the brakes, and since then has just been calm, collected, and has been fighting with riders, as you mentioned, with the kind of experience of Foggia, of Radre, and he's so far getting the best of them, but Foggia is trying to pull as close as possible as we approach turn 1 here.
Through turn 1 we go, 3 laps remaining. The gap at the front, 2.7, nearly 2.8 seconds. Milan Pavelec, what a ride it's been, but Dennis Foggia, his story is not written just yet. He's looking for a move on Harrison Voigt. He's looking to enter the top 4 positions, and you have to wonder, what does this mean for race 2 later on? Is a podium, is a race win, is a duel between himself and Unai Radre, Pavelec and Fernandez on the card? We have 3 laps to go in this one before we can begin to look towards that, but Harrison Voigt not cracking under pressure just yet.
No, not at all. He's actually put in such a sensational show, as we mentioned there. Just this final Voigt showing real determination to manage to maintain that lead. He knows who's behind him, and he knows the experience of who's behind him as well as you go through turn 10 there.
Yeah, so much experience in this Moto2 European Championship. It seems year on year, season on season, bigger names, bigger stars into the championship to try and place their name on the crown in the history books. Denis Foggia, a couple laps now, it seems like he's taken a much wider entry, trying just to hit a late apex and get the slingshot down the start-finish straight, but Mongiardo, he's still there, ready to pounce if Foggia runs 1 inch wide. I mean, the number 7, he's doing a great job so far. He did take a race win in Barcelona, but I think this afternoon he'll be looking to take one on track.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been such a fascinating race from start to finish. I mean, the opening exchanges, the opening blows between these riders, and there goes Foggia on the inside. Oh, Voigt! Was there contact there?
Yeah, there was contact.
Voigt forced out there at turn 3.
Both of them staying on, luckily, there. So Harrison Voigt and Denis Foggia will need to have another look at that in a few moments' time. As well, we do get a replay instantly. Over at turn 3, Foggia up the inside, no room at the end, and well, Harrison Voigt getting shoved wide. He won't be happy about that one. Has a little look before rejoining on circuit. But I mean, Denis Foggia, that was aggressive to say the very least.
To say the very least, elbows out is what we love to see in racing there. What a wheelie there from. Shown that he's aggressive by ploughing through the field. And he's done so well there.
Yeah, just getting through in some back markers, it looks like there. The 99 just getting out the way for this podium scrap. But Harrison Voigt, with 2 laps remaining, he's going to be hungry for this one. And I don't think he's going to be afraid to return the favour on Foggia.
No, not at all. And here we are again with our leader, Milan Pavlic, 2.5 seconds ahead of Eric Fernandez as we go into this final lap in race 1 in the Moto2 European Championship. He goes through turn 1. He's followed by Eric Fernandez with Unai Aradre, who started P24, currently in 3rd.
Yeah, nearly 2 seconds of an advantage for Eric Fernandez in 2nd position. So currently breaking Unai Aradre's streak, but of course on the final lap of action, there's been multiple stories in this one. Pavlic's impressive performance, Eric Fernandez hitting back late, and obviously Unai Aradre and Denis Foggia scrapping their way up the order. Through turn 5 we go now. Milan Pavlic just about half a lap remaining.
Nanti jam 7 bro, Ramadipanya.
3-second victory.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. And whilst we
Sabar ya, Ramadipa jam 7. Habis ini. Ini Moto2 masih.
For P4, Foggia briefly had it. Mongiardo is now taking it back. So there is action throughout the field here in Estoril.
Yeah, action everywhere you look. The battle for P4 is going to rage on all the way to the finish line, you have to say. Into turns 9 and turns 10 in a few moments' time, into the final sector for Milan Pavlic. He is, of course, the 2025 Moto2 European champion. And well, this is why. He doesn't crack under pressure. He's having a little look behind him. He knows he just has to take it nice and easy through turn 13. But Milan Pavlic, from start to finish, he's looked strong, he's looked cool, he's looked calm. And well, now it's time to collect the 25 points. He wins over Eric Fernandez, comes across the line. The celebrations will begin as Eric Fernandez takes 2nd and Unai Aradre in 3rd. Who's going to claim P4 now? It looks like Denis Foggia at the head of this pack. Mongiardo just ahead of them as well. So Mongiardo P4, Foggia P5, and Harrison Voigt getting himself up into P6 at the line.
Absolutely incredible stuff. That was one of those races and one of those race finishes where you would have loved to have had 2 screens to be able to see what was happening at the front of the race, but at the same time that battle between Foggia and Mongiardo and Voigt and Morosi was absolutely incredible. But it's this man, the Pole, Milan Pavlic, who deserves the win. Absolutely sensational stuff. Extends his lead at the top of the championship. Another 25 points. What a way to make your statement in the opening race in Moto2 here in Portugal.
Back into the spotlight for Pavlic. Eric Fernandez, of course, P2 for himself today, and with Aradre finishing 3rd, that's going to mean Pavlic's championship advantage is going to be that much more. Of course, it was looking to be around a 6-point margin. Now it's a little bit more than that as well. So Pavlic, a good points haul, as you mentioned, but Aradre, you have to give credit where credit is due. He sits 2nd place in the championship, of course, 3rd out in circuit, but the story of the race from P24.
Absolutely. I mean, when we were previewing this race, we were talking about damage limitation for the likes of Aradre, the likes of Foggia, who've been hit by those back-of-the-grid penalties. And they've really shut us up. Beyond damage limitation. A podium for Radri, P5 for Foggia. It's absolutely sensational stuff.
Sensational ride, and to say the least, and showing so much respect between them out on track as well. I mean, the Radri, it wasn't a case of wild moves, it was a case of clean moves, and moves that he knew could get made. But Milan Pavlic, a little wave to some of the fans, some of the marshals, and I'm sure some of the team members that will be watching and spotting around the circuit as well. The FIM MotoJunior World Championship season is in full swing, to say the very least. And well, Pavlic, you have to wonder at what point will the World Championship scene, the Moto3 World Championship scene, begin to look at them. A big fan base as always. The Polish fans get behind their riders, to say the very least. Into pit lane we go now. Parc Fermé just on the right hand side at the very start of pit lane. And celebrations truly beginning here at Estoril. What a ride. The entire AGR team coming up to him and congratulating them. Of course, you can watch back all the action. We'll hear from him in a few moments' time as he'll be down in Parc Fermé speaking to Connor. But at the line, it was only a 1.5 second margin. And I say only 1.5, and that's because it was nearly 3 seconds until the final lap or so, until the final main straight, where the 44 Pavlic realized he had a comfortable margin to celebrate all the way to the checkered flag. But Eric Fernandez, I mean, he rode that bike hard, to say the very least. Of course, the front end was dancing about, the rear end was dancing as well underneath him. Somehow he kept it on 2 wheels, and his late race pace proved to be pivotal. He kept second position at the line, but smiles underneath the helmet for Milan Pavlic. Confirmation of the 66 points in the championship that he now holds, of course, an extra 25 taken here today. Radri, though, one of the stars of the show, one of the stars of the championship headed into this season. I mean, he was always expected to be a championship contender, but P24 to P3 at the checkered flag, it doesn't happen often, and certainly in the Moto2 class. You can just see, though, talking to the team, and you would imagine that would be why he was unable to make up ground late on. But here is the race winning overtake. We see Eric Fernandez running it deep over at turn 6, and Milan Pavlic striking early, taking advantage of that mistake and sprinted into the distance. From that move onwards, it was a clean road for the number 44. Meanwhile, though, Eric Fernandez was able to get ahead of Unai Radri. That's over at turn 1 that happened, and simply impressive stuff yet again. But over the line, it was Pavlic celebrating once more and looking very happy, very pleased, and he knew he had to take advantage and capitalize on that race. But what a ride it was from Milan Pavlic. He shakes hands with Unai Radri, and now we can hear from our race winner, who's down in Parc Fermé, speaking to Connor.
Milan, another race, another fantastic performance, and you've extended your lead at the top of the championship. Just tell us about the race and how you're feeling afterwards.
Yeah, I will start with the qualifying. It was not really good for us. We start before. We have better pace to make, so now we show in the race that we can be first again. I'm really happy that I can stay again on the first place. It was really important for us to be always in this top 3. It's even better than the top 3, so I'm really happy, and I hope the next race will be also as good as well.
And can you tell us in Polish as well, please?
Yes, to tak, kwalifikacje nie poszły nam za dobrze. Pomimo żółtej flagi straciłem najszybsze swoje kółka i startowaliśmy z 4. pozycji, ale wiedziałem, że mam tempo na więcej, no i tak jak pokazaliśmy tutaj w wyścigu, zrobiliśmy to, znowu 1. pozycja, która jest nam bardzo potrzebna do kwalifikacji generalnej, także cieszę się, że znowu skończyliśmy w tym top 3 na tym 1. miejscu i i jedziemy dalej i dziękuję bardzo Bogu za to. Dziękuję.
Congratulations and good luck for race 2.
Well, race 1 in Estoril was dramatic, to say the very least, for the Moto2 European Championship. A big crash at turn 1, 2 incidents at the same time, 3 riders going down on the opening lap. Eric Fernandez did take the race lead in the early stages as the likes of Morozio battled for P3. Palmiro also involved in that scrap. He would go down later on in the race, scoring no points on Sunday morning. There is Palmiro standing in the gravel, luckily up on his feet, as Harrison Boyd got to work for 3rd. This was your race-winning overtake, though, as Milan Pavelich took the race lead over at turn 6, and Unai Radri battled his way through the order, starting all the way down the order outside of the top 20 for himself and Denis Foggia. They fought their way inside the top 5 by the end of the race. Unai Radri was simply impressive, passing the likes of Mongiardo, and then Harrison Voigt. He made it look easy and set his sights on the number 4 of Eric Fernandez. This was the battle for P2 out on track. Radri initially looked like he would get ahead and sprint into the distance. However, Eric Fernandez had other plans, hitting back over at turn 1, launching the move up the inside and keeping it that way until the checkered flag. Voigt began to get swallowed up through the order, fighting with Mongiardo, as then Denis Foggia got himself back into the mix. Foggia was setting sights on Harrison Voigt and looking for any opportunity through, and eventually that move would begin to get made at turn 3. Number 7 sent a move down the inside, striking Voigt on the side. He was handed a drop 1 position for the incident at turn 3 on lap 15, as Milan Pavelich took victory in Moto2 Race 1. What a ride for the 44, and 25 points in the bag. Now though, the podium celebrations do continue here. We'll see a team representative on the podium now for the AGR squad. What an incredible race that was, though. As we mentioned, Foggia has received a drop 1 position, so he's going to go back down to P6 in the finish order, as Unai Radri makes his way into 3rd position for himself. Eric Fernandez on 2nd place in the podium. 1.5 seconds was his margin to your race winner, Milan Pavelich, who of course will stand on that very top step of the podium. Trophy celebrations begin now, of course, for the Moto2 European Championship. They'll still have race 2 this afternoon. But what a race we've seen. As Vice President of the FMP coming out now with the trophies. First of all, to the team representative for the AGR team. And then it will be Unai Radri's turn. I mean, 3rd place trophy. I'm sure that one's going to go very high on the mantelpiece. A very important trophy for himself after such an impressive display. 2nd place as well. That will get handed out in a few moments' time to Eric Fernandez. Being handed out by the FIM Europe representative, the Vice President, Jean-Marc. Yeah, handshake all round as well, but P2 for Eric Fernandez. And of course, who can forget Milan Pavelich, your race winner here in Moto2 Race 1. An incredible start for Estoril. And of course, we'll hear the Polish national anthem this time around. Three Moto2 Championship races have been completed so far this year. 2 of them have went the way of Milan Pavelich. What a race we had there. The champagne, of course, comes out the corner. I mean, what a race we had there. A perfect start to the season, you have to say, for Milan Pavelich, and taking advantage, because race 2 looks like it can be very, very different.
Yeah, speaking of taking advantage, race 2 will be different. We're going to have Unai Radri compete at the front of the entire race. And what deserved podium for the Spaniard. It was just an inspired ride from start to finish. We can't forget, started from P24 and finished in P3.
Because photo getting taken there for podium finishers, but what a race, what a ride. Milan Pavelich, your race winner. And well, you'll set sights on repeating that later on. More competition, as you mentioned, Conor Radri, starting from pole.
Here we have in the final results. It is Pavelich with win, followed on the podium by Eric Fernandez, Unai Radri, then it's Mongiardo, Voigt and Foggia, who also started further back after a penalty. Then it's Meroket, Lubenia, Moore and Tapia rounding out top 10. Behind them is Nalus in 11th, Kezvan in 12th, Ike stock champion 13th, Toth, Romero, Van Schricht in 4th, 15th and 16th, Thuriest in P17th, Van Rosmalen in 18th and Del Olmo in P19. with Pedro Romero, Jean Eisenkolb and V. Angersold in P22, Uriati in P23, but also Palomera, Yambis and Ventrini seeing their races come to an early end. As did Emmanuel Brinton after an incident at turn 1 right at the beginning of this opening race in the Moto3 European Championship. These are the standings then. Milan Pavel does it extended lead to 66 points, but Rajic is hot on his heels, 10 points behind. With Dennis Fonchia in P3, Eric Fernandez with his P2 moved up 3 spots to P5 in the standings. Harrison Voigt up to P7. Jake Rolston dropped down 2 positions to P9. Marcos Zidania now in P11. Marco Tapia in 15th. Igor Garcia up 3 spots to P17. Also 3 spots is Maxwell Tough now 19th in the standings with 2 points to his name, and Juan Santos in P20.
What a race we had for the open race of the day for the Moto3 European Championship. It was, of course, Milan Pavelet taking the race. When there was drama in the opening laps, there's drama all the way to the checker flag of 44. Comes out on top in the force, gets to do it all again this afternoon, where race 2 goes lights out. But of course, there's plenty of action coming your way here at Estoril, so keep with us. Let's get them in a few moments' time. Will be Moto3 Junior World Championship. But of course, still plenty of action coming your way here at Estoril, so keep with us. Let's get to them in a few moments' time with the Moto3 Junior World Championship.
Estoril, a track that's been part of the and what riders have circled on their calendars since the season began. The Atlantic Air, the hillside setting above the Cascades coastline, 9 right-handers and 6 left as well as the long run to the first corner, where Braves braking wins the most ground. This is a track that demands everything. to the Moto3 Junior World Championship begins here and now in Estoril. 2026 season opened the circuit of Barcelona Catalunya just under a month ago, and the Moto3 Junior World Championship delivered exactly the drama this class is known for. In race 1, Moto Racing's Leonardo Zani crossed the line in first in a high-octane opener with the Moto Asphalt Junior Team Bureau of Giulio Pugliese and Carlos Cano following, but a post-race 3-second penalty dropped Cano from the podium, promoting Indonesian rider 𝓵 of HUNGARY. Team Racing in third, Guillaume Bong and Ramadipa battled with the leading throughout to round out top 5. Race 2 brought a different outcome. Zani crashed out to the lead, and Pugliese, who'd been consistent throughout the week, took the opportunity and won. Transport of FIM MotoJunior Model came home second, and Fernando Bajosa, who'd crashed out of race 1, completed the podium on his second attempt, his first ever Moto3 Junior Rostrum. Two different race winners to get us away for 2026. We're here in Warsaw for the sole Moto3 Junior race of the day. The sun is shining and this conditions are perfect for a great day of racing. I'm Conor Doherty and I'm joined by Lewis Ray for proceedings here. Lewis, if round 1 was anything to go by, we're in for a real treat in Estoril.
Yeah, we're in for a real treat. Barcelona
Gianjo Ramadipa still leading as we go up the deceptive elevation here at turns 11 and 12. But just take a look at that move there from 𝓻𝓱𝓲𝓹 and the contact there. They're very lucky to stay on two wheels, everyone there. There's not much space at turn 1 at all, and they've all managed to stay up and they've all managed to keep part of this leading group.
It can look very open over at turn 1, but then there's a pinch point where everyone comes super close, and then suddenly you need to get the bike over to the left-hand side of the circuit for turn 2. But now Travis Borg, he looks up the inside yet again and looks to make that move work, and he does indeed. So it's still a Honda 1-2-3, but now it's Travis Borg sitting in P1 and very wide off the circuit, actually, it looks like there, for the number 24 of Huang.
Yeah, David Gonzalez, a bit further back as well, has moved ahead of Leonardo Zanni, who's now in P8. Well, he's moved now back up to P7, but Gonzalez briefly joining this group and making sure everyone knows that he's there.
Yeah, and he made his presence known there on Zanni, nearly making contact with Zanni's leg with his front wheel. Obviously, no contact made over at turn 4. Through turn 5 we went, and now towards turn 6. Ramadipa up the inside. This race is chopping and changing.
Because 𝓻𝓱𝓲𝓹 is in P5 for the time being, but those championship standings are going to be chopping and changing as well, as we see everything happening out here on track.
Made it out on circuit through turn 10 we go now, winding up the power yet again through turns turns 11, then turn 12, and then of course turn 13. The parabolic Ayrton Senna, the final corner, and well, a good chance to build up some momentum, build up some speed onto the main straight, as we see Leonardo Zanni doing exactly that on his rivals and trying to get a lead on Pugliese on the 31. Down the start-finish straight we go yet again though, side by side for Borg and 𝓶𝓴 out on circuit. How close do you like it in the Moto3 Junior World Championship? Through turn 1 we go yet again. Who will make the move? It looks like Kano trying his best in P4.
Yeah, Kano's trying his best now. He's going side by side with his old rival 𝓻𝓱𝓲𝓹 as well. It's just absolutely sensational racing from start to finish. No one has led up, no one has given it an inch here, and everyone is going flat out for the win here with just 5.5 laps to go in Estoril. It's still Ramadipa who's leading from 𝓶𝓴 and Travis Borg. Indonesia, Thailand and Malta currently on our provisional podium.
Exactly what we love to see. Good diversity, of course. A lot of nationalities taking part in this championship this year. As always, as we see Ramadipa, I mean, round 1, he was one of the standout performers, certainly of how quick he was able to make his presence known. And it seems like Estoril, he's made yet another step.
I think we've got an issue for the Venezuelan rider as well. Speaking about the nationalities, Tina has dropped down the standings, and there we have the confirmation there. Good to see he's okay, but frustrating. Another rider with a lot of talent seeing their race come to an early end here.
Judging by how his levers have rubbed on the tarmac, you would suggest he's just lost the front on a right-hander there. So a massive shame for himself, as the battle will continue on at the front. Of course, yellow flag still out over at turns 3 and turns 4 for the time being. Hopefully that's all sorted, and it is now the green flag's out, so when we get there, racing can continue. But yeah, as you mentioned, 𝓶𝓴 trying his best, but here comes Travis Borg. He'll have essentially a double slipstream slingshot heading towards turn 1. Will he launch a move down the inside? The 23 does have a cheeky little look, but thinks better of it.
So good from Ramadipa as well to manage to maintain that lead despite the pressure that is growing as we go into turn number 2 here. Ramadipa doing so well leading this race, just managing to control the situation to the best of his ability, knowing that the riders around him are really desperate for a win. Go through the left-hander there. And onto the back straight now. Are we going to be seeing anyone lining up a move for the left-hander at turn 6? Parabolica interior. Travis Borg looks hungry, he's not going to make the move here. What about anyone else in the leading pack? No, as we swing round and into sector 3.
Yeah, we carry on. Long lap penalty, of course, located over at turn 6. Well, the CF Moto riders trading blows out on circuit. That looks to be Pugliese getting ahead of his younger teammate Carlos Cano, as now here comes the AC racing rider of 𝓻𝓲𝓻𝓪 and Gonzalez, both looking to make their indent. Gonzalez first on the CF Moto riders. He's going to have to run it slightly wider though. He will have the inside line over at turn 12, but no room at all. To make a move work through there, you need to get alongside nice and early, and well, that just wasn't the case this time around. But ever since 𝓴𝓪𝓵, Borg and 𝓶𝓴.𝓻𝓪 have got inside the top 3, we haven't exactly seen the KTM riders be able to challenge them just yet.
Not yet, but there's still plenty of racing to go. 4 laps, in fact, and this is where we see the difference being made time and time again. Travis Borg on the inside line. He's going to be able to take the lead there, and there we are. He has hit it, and everyone trading blows there, trying to get through. But it is Borg who leads. No, it's not. As we go into turn 2, it's still 𝓴𝓪𝓵 then at the front, but Borg piling on the pressure, and Carlos Cano as well, trying to get on the inside there. He has managed to claim P2 though, as we head into the left-hander. It's 𝓴𝓪𝓵 who still leads. Cano trying to force his way through, but no, only able to get into P2.
It was 2x2 all the way through turn 3 there. Luckily, nobody making contact, and well, some good moves and good position and points gained from Carlos Cano, who now sits second position on the road ahead of Travis Borg and 𝓶𝓴.𝓻𝓪. Of course, 𝓶𝓴.𝓻𝓪 started from pole position. 𝓵𝓵, though, let's not forget, is your race leader. 1/10 of a second separated them at the last timing point as Pugliese launches a move on Gonzalez. So that's going to be Gonzalez, the number 11, pushed back down the order yet again. And let's not forget, Leonardo Zanni sitting P7. Now it's going to get tight over at turns 9 and 10. No contact made so far, but getting elbows out is 𝓶𝓴.𝓻𝓪.
I mean, we've seen just how aggressive some of these riders can be. We've seen it in the Moto3 European Cup, formerly, of course, the European Talent Cup. We've seen that they're so competitive, so aggressive. Elbows out, absolutely. The likes of Pugliese as well. David Gonzalez, too. He's done so well. A bit of a slow burner in this race. We didn't really see too much of him up until about 2-3 laps ago. And he really has just grit his teeth and powered through, as we are now passing the start-finish straight and heading down towards turn 1. Are we going to see another move here? It's Carlos Cano who seizes the lead there. He's going to be able to make it sick. 𝓻𝓲𝓻𝓪 trying to go on the inside there, maybe just a bit too inside. Slots into P4. No, he's under pressure from Pugliese. And what a battle this is as well, with David Gonzalez as well.
Travis Borg reclaiming second position. He briefly got pushed back down to P3 from 𝓴𝓪𝓵, but I think Travis Borg did well there over at turn 1. Although he lost the position, he was breaking out on the curb. The bike got completely unsettled, and he took 2 or 3 attempts of actually tipping in that bike before it settled down, and that allowed Carlos Cano just to swoop through. Now, though, keep your eye on the 32 of 𝓴𝓪𝓵. He set up yet another move over at turn 6. Textbook stuff this time around, and trying to run it from the outside line is Travis Borg. A little bit of moment there from Gonzalez on the rear, just getting sat up ever so slightly. Pugliese will be on the attack now, looking to capitalize on that mistake. The 31, so close.
So close, so close. He needs to protect that lead in the championship as well, but just a moment on 𝓴𝓪𝓵. He's looked so strong on the left-handers here. He's really such a talented rider. We can see the Live Championship then. It is Pugliese who leads with a 10-point gap ahead of Cano and 𝓴𝓪𝓵, with Travis Borg 20 points behind. So it's still so close at the front, and these riders leading here in Estoril are giving it absolutely everything. There's so much on the line in Portugal.
Heading on to the penultimate lap of action here in Portugal. It's Carlos Cano who leads, but for how long, as we see the likes of 𝓴𝓵𝓵 pulling out alongside Travis Borg, also there. Borg well and truly on the inside, the 23, diving down the inside on the 32. Job done for himself. Pugliese also up to second, Cano down to 4th. So from 1st to 4th, Cano not the positions he would have wanted, but he knows for next time around if he's going to be able to lead it all the way to the checkered flag.
Absolutely, and we can't forget that these riders, a huge amount of them, are all rookies in this class. It's absolutely sensational. Travis Borg hits the front. It's his rookie season here in 2026. He's been challenged by the likes of 𝓻𝓲𝓻𝓪 and Carlos Cano, all rookies, all delivering right from the start of this 2026 campaign, their maiden campaign in Moto3 Junior. Such incredible talent on display.
Yeah, incredible to watch these riders out on circuit. As you mentioned, Travis Borg.
Once again on the left, 𝓶𝓴.𝓻𝓪 there.
Yeah, good move for himself. Job done over at turn 6 and up into second place for.
That it's really been going since the very beginning of this race. Everyone giving it absolutely everything. 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪, who's leading then, who's proved time and time again over the course of this campaign just how skilled and talented he is. He's really hit the ground running in Moto3 Junior, and now he is leading from Travis Borg. With 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪 now in P3, that could prove so important in the championship standings.
Yeah, that could prove crucial at the end of the season. Obviously, points make prizes in 2026. Travis Borg, we've learned in this race, he's not afraid to get his elbows out. One more circulation of the Estoril circuit is left. 𝓵𝓪𝓻𝓪𝓭𝓱𝓲𝓹𝓪 trying to make a move work as well for himself, but it is going to be 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪𝓃𝓪 taking the race lead on the final lap. 2 for the price of 1. 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪𝓃𝓪, the Italian rider, hits the front.
Well, he was, again, slow for 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪𝓃𝓪. He needs to hold on, but it's not going to be easy. He's got Travis Borg here as we approach the start-finish straight. They're going to need to get the drive. They're going to need to come out of this corner absolutely perfectly. It is currently 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪𝓃𝓪, but is that going to change? Travis Borg just behind, trying to catch up, but it is 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪𝓵 with the win. What a moment for him. Absolutely incredible stuff from 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪𝓵. He's followed by Travis Borg and Carlos Cano onto the podium. Incredible stuff from 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪.
What a ride that was. I mean, that was every single ounce of experience, every single ounce of talent on display. And well, you can tell, 𝓶𝓴, he has absolutely loved that battle. Let's keep in mind, starting from pole position, led a good amount of the race as well. He crosses the line down in P7. The results doesn't do the ride any justice at all.
Yeah, it can sometimes be quite cruel, this sport, because every one of those riders in that leading pack of 7 was delivering, a pack of 8 really, if we include 𝓵𝓻𝓱 as well, was delivering an incredible battle, an absolute feast for the senses from start to finish for everyone watching. But it is 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪𝓃𝓪 who builds on that podium that he earned in Barcelona, and rightly so. He can wheelie out of joy. He takes 25 points and is second in the Moto3 Junior standings as a consequence of his first race win. A rookie, and he's showing us how to get it done. Travis Borg as well, third in the championship. A phenomenal ride from him. P2, absolutely sensational stuff from the Maltese rider.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, we did say before the race, keep your eye on him. He's been strong throughout Friday and Saturday morning, and then in qualifying didn't quite go his way, certainly with the pace that he was showing leading so many sessions. But Travis Borg, he was brave in that one, especially at turns 9 and turns 10, where he was not afraid to sling it round the outside to try and make a move work. So super impressive. Not to forget Carlos Cano, rookie in this championship, of course, P3 for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. A podium for Carlos Cano, and well deserved. He's shown us exactly what he's capable of. And he just looks a bit overwhelmed there after his performance there. Incredible ride from the young Spaniard. Well, let's see if Moto Aspar machine. They'll be heading towards Parc Fermé. He's used to going there in the Moto4 European Cup. This will be his first time in Moto3 Junior. As we see Travis Borg enter Parc Fermé after his P2 finish. Phenomenal ride. Consecutive P2 finishes for the Maltese rider, and you can see what it means to him. You can see what it means to his team as well, as Carlos Cano pulls in alongside. We're still waiting for our race winner, 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪𝓵. We'll be hearing from him shortly as well. Get his thoughts on the race here in Estoril. Again, here is the race-winning overtake, 2 for the price of 1. 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪𝓵 again at turn 6, just so good at that left-hander, just slingshotting around there and getting ahead of Carlos Cano and Travis Borg, and managing to hold on when it was so difficult to do so coming out of turn 13. And a first win for the rookie, 𝓵𝓵𝓃𝓪𝓵, adding to his podium in Barcelona. It's difficult to overstate exactly what the Indonesian rider has done here. a phenomenal ride, and what a moment as well for the Honda Asia Dream Racing team. Well deserved, and you can really see the camaraderie between these two as well. P7 finish for 𝓶𝓴. And here we can see the celebrations for 𝓵𝓪𝓵𝓪. Second in the championship, 51 points to his name so far. The season's long, but it's important to get a good start, and he has done just that. He's really, really impressed in these opening 2 rounds. And again, another moment of camaraderie between those 2 riders. So great to see how well they've been performing. And here is Travis Borg. We said he was strong in practice, but then in qualifying didn't get away quite as well as he would have liked. Finished starting the race from P8, and despite that, secured a place on the podium with a P2 finish. As we've mentioned, for the 2nd race running. And then we have Carlos Cano with his first podium. Started from P3, finished in P3. Challenged at the front, hit the front a couple of times. Wasn't able to make it stick really. Was just caught out on the inside of turn 6. One too many times by our eventual race winner, 𝓵𝓪𝓵𝓪. But he'll be relishing this podium, his first in this class in Moto3 Junior. He's used to being in Parc Fermé, as we mentioned, in Moto4, the former European Talent Cup. Of course, won that back in 2024, runner-up in 2025, and now he's got his sights set on Moto3 Junior. We'll be hearing very shortly from 𝓵𝓪𝓵𝓪, our race winner, who is down with Lewis.
𝓵𝓪𝓵𝓪, what a ride that was for yourself. Race win, of course, for yourself, but a good battle, and you had to work very hard.
Yeah, it was a difficult race. I was working really hard during the race, and I had a big moment in the last corner. I tried to catch the group, and I tried to lead the race, and I tried to going with my own pace. And yeah, in the last lap, I tried to overtake many the other rider. I tried to lead in the last sector, and I tried to manage to keep the position until the finish line.
And just in your native language for all your friends and family and sponsors back home.
Ya, alhamdulillah, terima kasih semuanya. Terima kasih atas Honda Racing Team dan semua sponsor saya, tentunya keluarga saya. Ayah, ini buat ayah, ya, dan buat juga adik Al. Terima kasih semuanya yang sudah mendukung saya, tentunya Bunda. Dan ya, saya akan terus improving diri saya untuk race selanjutnya di Jerez. Terima kasih.
Well done.
Thank you.
Let's take a look back then at what was an absolutely sensational Moto3 Junior race here in Estoril. We saw the battle at the front, chopping and changing. A leading group of 8 battling it out from start to finish. No one giving it an inch. The likes of Carlos Cano hitting the front, but on the start-finish straight, coming under pressure. Leonardo Zanni moving ahead, and the likes of 𝓵𝓵𝓪𝓵𝓪 and 𝓶𝓴, who did start from pole, really giving it absolutely everything. We saw Travis Borg getting involved as well and hitting the front, and Fernando Pujosa also made sure that he got involved in the battle at the front as well. Making a move in the final sector proved to be absolutely vital, and that tricky turns 9, 10, 11 and 12 before the parabolica Ayrton Senna. A moment there which ended the races of a few contenders as well. But back at the front, Leonardo Zanni putting the pressure on for the final podium spot. Pujosa and David Gonzalez getting involved as well. The Spaniard leaving it late, but going all in when he could. And again, turn 1 proving to be so important there. A bit of a moment there as well, because there's just not enough room for these riders who are so aggressive at that opening turn. But it was 𝓵𝓪𝓵𝓪 who hit the front late on and was managed to hold on despite the pressure. Carlos Cano again tries to get to the front. It's just on the last lap. And Pugliese as well, who hit the front right at the struck, and on the left-hander once again, he proved to be the superior rider here in Estoril to get his 2026 win under his belt with a fantastic 25 points in Portugal. Now we are with the podium.
Third place, terceiro lugar, Carlos
After
Cano.
the Moto3 Junior race here, Carlos Cano, third place finisher, after what was a sensational battle between a leading group that didn't give an inch. Travis Borg as well takes P2, and 𝓶𝓴.𝓻𝓪𝓶𝓪𝓭𝓱𝓲𝓹𝓪 will take the top spot on the rostrum for the first time this year. Absolutely wonderful stuff. FIM representative 𝓵𝓻𝓪𝓶𝓪𝓭𝓱𝓲𝓹𝓪 presenting the trophy. Cano as well, a P3 finisher.
E o vice-presidente da Federação de Motociclismo de Portugal, 𝓶𝓴.𝓻𝓪𝓶𝓪𝓭𝓱𝓲𝓹𝓪,
The vice president of the Portuguese Motorcycle Racing Association, presenting the trophy for
Travis Borg.
P2 to Travis Borg. A podium of rookies. It's incredible to think about. And our winner, 𝓵𝓻𝓪𝓶𝓪𝓭𝓱𝓲𝓹𝓪. A well-deserved win. And he's got every reason to celebrate. You can see the joy on his face after what was a phenomenal performance, and we will be hearing the Indonesian national anthem now.
And now for the ceremony with Soda.
Great to hear the Indonesian national anthem ringing out, and Indonesia really a country making a name for itself in the world of motorsport at the moment. We've seen absolutely fantastic riders lately, and 𝓵𝓻𝓪𝓶𝓪𝓭𝓱𝓲𝓹𝓪, the latest in a long line of fantastic riders in this class. Of course, these riders just celebrating with soda.
And now for the photo.
Ahead of the class photo.
On the top step of the podium, please.
Well, they can now go and celebrate. The job is done. Only one race in the Moto3 Junior class here in Estoril. And here are the final results.
𝓵𝓻𝓪𝓶𝓪𝓭𝓱𝓲𝓹𝓪 is your race winner for the Moto3 Junior World Championship race here in Estoril. Just over half a tenth separate himself and Travis Borg as Carlos Cano rounds out your podium finishers. Pugliese and Gonzalez inside the top 5, with Zani, Singapong, 𝓵𝓻𝓪, Plonk and Ogiwara rounding out the top 10. Enzo Ballon, Jaroslav Karapushin, Gabarini, Da Costa and Modigliani rounds out your point scorers here in Estoril, as Salvamense, Gonzalo Perez and Abruzzo round out the top 18. Michelin, Filip Soroviak rounding out the top 20, with Gutierrez, Bertola, Rousseau, Mignot and Incorrect. Of course, we've seen a long lap penalty handed for him. He's finished P25. Tinef, Alex Longarella, Varga, Nicholas, Ikegami, Evan Belford and Oliveras all running into issues in that one. Massive shame there for them, but that will leave things like this in the championship standings. Pugliese still leads, but it's 𝓻𝓪𝓶𝓪𝓭𝓱𝓲𝓹𝓪 in second, just 7 points behind now. Number 32 is Lurkin Borg. Rockets himself up to P3 in the standings as Cano and Zani round out the top 5 in your championship runners. 2 places though lost this time around for 𝓴𝓻. Abruzzo as well. Couple positions lost. He drops outside the top 10 in the championship. Enzo Ballon and David Gonzalez as well. A good ride for him in that lead group. That places himself P14 in the standings. 11 points for him this year, of course. Not a great start to the season, but a good points haul here on Sunday. Remy Saint-Juan as well, losing out a few points for himself. But a great race, you have to say, Connor. But luckily, we can do it all again in Jerez. The 25 points have been handed out.
Yeah, absolutely sensational race. It's the kind of race that we expect now in Moto3 Junior. The talent on display, the caliber of these riders, really the stars of the future. Make sure you don't go anywhere because we've got plenty more racing on the way here in Estoril.